It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The NCAA Tournament bracket released today. The latest NFL free agency signings and MLB season will begin tomorrow. I'm sorry. In Tokyo. And much, much more on a new show of Job in the Mouth. We're going to give him a significant. They're going to have a ton of money to spend. Why not put it in one of the top 3 offensive players in the league? We're going to be looking at Aaron Judge and saying that he can't win the big game. Michael Jordan said, I played 82 games. You don't see LeBron doing that.
This is a game where you got to go perform.
I told you, Giant fans, and Saquon Barkley at this point.
I'm gonna fight them all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off. Take it down.
Say whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Really?
And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. And back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette. And the nation's going from my eyes and never
Welcome to a new show of Jabba and the Mouth. And boy, oh boy, was that a fantastic start of the show as I created a new word, ladies and gentlemen, as we are now using tomorrow as tomorrow. So if anybody wants to use that word on social media, just hashtag Jabba in the Mouth. You're listening to Jabba in the Mouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Jabba Chamberlain, and the Speedster, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including Jabba in the Mouth, every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all the shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call our show, you can do so. 631-672-3108. Yes. Boy, oh boy, what a start. I didn't think that was going to happen.
You think you could get that in Webster's?
Listen, that is a new word. I don't know. It's so funny. Before, when we went to that break for our introduction, I was talking to Scoops. I was like, wow, I created a new word and I didn't even know it. Yeah. So that's pretty funny. It was definitely not planned, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, oh boy, I really did look like a retard over there. Speedy, I know you don't like that word, but I had to use it. I had to use it, ladies and gentlemen. Speedy, how are you, my friend?
Scrambling last-second changes that we've had to deal with the show, but definitely enjoying the NCAA tournament time. I always do. And there's no
you just made my nipples hard.
And there's no Virginia to score 40 points this year, so we actually have some a little more realistically deserving teams.
You just made Jabba's nipples hard. You just heard it. The soundboard just told you.
Jabba's nipples can't be too hard with Nebraska falling apart the way they did.
Well, that's true.
Dude, it was so bad. And then what they made up another damn tournament, the CBC or whatever it is. I was like,
trying to include more small schools. It's like all the then all of a sudden the NIT teams don't have enough of the mid majors, yet there were more of them this year. So I guess they had to invent another one.
Yeah, I was like, oh sweet, yeah, let's get a participation trophy again. Sweet, here we go. Our girls got in though, and then UNO got in as well. So.
Well, the girls' tournament, that just begun, right?
It begins the day after the men's. Yeah.
Oh, so it didn't begin. I've been watching all the different tournaments for the girls over the weekend. I guess it's not the NCAA bracket, but I don't watch the girls. March Madness. I watch all the guys, and by the way, last year I heard March Madness for the women's was actually much better than the men's. So I didn't get a chance to watch it. I did watch the finals. I watched Caitlin Clark playing the finals just because it was Caitlin Clark, but I didn't really get a chance to actually, grab the attention away from the men's bracket. But the men's bracket was horrible last year, as we saw Purdue go into the national championship versus Connecticut. And both teams right now are a shell of themselves, as we all have seen. Edie's now playing in the NBA. And it looks like, and by the way, I've been watching a couple of really good documentaries about the Hurley family. And it's pretty amazing about the background of the family. And Danny Hurley is actually, he was horrible in Princeton. I was young, so I didn't really get a chance to watch Danny play in Princeton, but he was a horrible college basketball player. And Bobby obviously won 2 national championships, back-to-back championships with Duke. And then his father, if you don't know who his father is, Bobby Hurley Sr., he's one of the greatest high school coaches in basketball history. And he's been doing so many, great things over there in New Jersey. I think if I'm not mistaken, he just retired, but he's won like 28 state titles or something like that, national championships and everything. And there were so many teams and so many schools, college schools, that wanted to bring him in. And he just wanted to stay in high school basketball. So fantastic story. And they have a great background when it comes to the Hurley family. So if you guys haven't checked out the Hurley story and the documentaries that they've had, go on YouTube. You could definitely find it. It is sensational. But the NCAA bracket has obviously been formed, and we're going to be talking about St. John's actually doing what they did, winning the Big East. And a lot of people think that Johnnies have a chance to win a national championship this year. I beg to differ. As good as Rick Pitino has been over there, I love, and by the way, they have actually a documentary. Well, it's not a documentary. They are following St. John's all through the season, and I've been watching bits and pieces of it. So I forget what it's called, but you could check it out. But it's Scoops, look it up. Pitino, actually, it's great to get to know who Pitino is off the court and what he does to his team and how he kind of pushes his players. It's really sensational. I've been watching bits and pieces of it. It's actually on cable television. So I forget what channel it is. But if you guys actually look it up for me, we can give it to the fans. If you're a St. John's fan, you can definitely check it out because it's been going on over the last couple of months. You have it? What is it? Yes. Yes. Red Storm Rising. That's what it's called. And what channel is that on? You can check that out. I will get it up there so people can see it. If you're a St. Johnny's fan, and I know there's a lot of them out there because this is St. John's is really, them and Syracuse are the only real New York schools that everybody roots for every single year. And Syracuse, the Orange Men, they're still rebuilding, obviously, with the new coaching staff that they have in place. And St. John's, obviously. And what do you got? What channel? What is it? What is it? Vice TV. So it's on Vice TV. If you're a Johnny's fan, you go to Vice TV and you can check it out. I'm sure they're going to continue throughout the tournament. It's really, really good footage of stuff. If you're a St. John's fan, it's sensational, but it's been crazy. The weather's been different. And I want to give a shout out to Ricky Williams. He was supposed to come on the show today. Obviously things came up. I know people were looking forward to hearing what Ricky had to say, but Ricky will be on the show. We'll work on it, and probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll have Ricky Williams on the show. He is fantastic. He's a great personality. I don't know if you checked out 30 for 30 for ESPN. It is sensational documentary of Ricky Williams and what he had to go through over his career, not only in college and high school, but really as a professional football player. So, and the trials and tribulations he had to go through. So it's a sensational story, and I'm looking forward to interviewing. Oh, there it is. What the hell am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be Mario? That's horrible. That's horrible. Anyways, but like I said, we have a great show lined up for you guys. And a little bit later in the show, yes, we do have a guest. It was a last-minute thing, but we love him. And he is going to be awesome to get him on the show because he's a great fantasy guy. We will be talking to co-founder of All 22 Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. I would predict, I know Ray goes to a lot of these combines. I don't know if he went to the combine this year, but he's gone over the years. So I'm interested to see. I haven't talked to Ray in about almost a year. So I'd love to hear if Ray went to the combine this past year. I've heard it was really fun to go to. You got a chance to meet guys, and now they actually have a place where all the different radio shows can sit and do what they did over there at Radio Row. So it's pretty amazing what they're doing right now at the combine, what the NFL is trying to do, make it like just something extravaganza to go to. So it's really, really cool. So we will get into some football conversation. And I know Ray knows a little bit about the NCAA tournament as well. So we'll get into that with his bracket and where he sees some of these teams going. The NCAA tournament bracket was released yesterday, leading to a lot of controversy with the seeding and bubble teams. Auburn was the number 1 overall seed, despite not winning their conference tournament. Duke, Houston, and Florida were the other number 1 seeds. By the way, just so everybody knows what the NCAA has come out with over the last 24 hours, Duke is the number 1 seed in the nation. They have the best record in the nation. If I'm not mistaken, they're 31-3. So they have the number 1 record, and they're up, I think, 60 or 70 NCAA points. So I don't know how Auburn was the number 1 seed. But anyways, Michigan was the only seeded number 5, despite winning the Big Ten tournament and beating Wisconsin and Maryland that were seeded higher. 14 total SEC made the NCAA tournament, a tournament record for any conference. SEC bubble teams like Vanderbilt, Arkansas made it as a number 10 seed, and Texas made it as a number 11 seed. There was a lot of controversy with North Carolina Xavier getting a number 11 seed, with both teams only having 1 win in each versus quad 1 opponents. Other than bubble teams like Boise State, Indiana, West Virginia had multiple wins against quad 1 opponents. By the way, I just want to say something about North Carolina and Xavier. The only reason why they are as high as they are is because it's North Carolina. That's why. They're the Tar Heels. And Xavier has been a high-profile basketball school forever. So, of course, they're going to rank them high. They look at, obviously, and by the way, this is voted and this is picked around a controversial bunch of old guys, okay? They're sitting on a round table, just like when they choose the NFL, who goes to the NFL Hall of Fame. This is the same way they do this when it comes to picking seeds for the NCAA tournament. It doesn't make any sense, and they look at points. And I don't know how you grade from one team, an SEC team, to a Big Ten team. I don't understand. Or an ACC team. Everybody knows the ACC and the SEC are probably the best basketball divisions in the country. But over the years, as we have seen, we'll say it again, the Big East has really exploded. UConn's won back-to-back championships. As we've seen, St. John's is now growing. There's quite a few other teams now really starting to peak. And obviously,
don't forget about the school in Nebraska. Give us some love.
Yes, Nebraska, Villanova, another team. So Villanova's won multiple national championships. So the Big East is really growing, as we have seen over the last couple of years. And that's why Pitino decided to go back to the Johnnies, because he believed that he can rebuild and restructure this team where they could be a national champion again. The last time St. John's has won a national championship was 1978. So it was Chris Mullen, all right? That was the last time they won a national championship. So when you look at the Johnnies and what the Johnnies have done this year, it's pretty incredible. It is. It's really incredible. And right now, nationally, they're ranked 5th, 30-4. They won the Big East championship, which a lot of people ask me, where did I grade a St. John's team from this year? And I watched bits and pieces of St. John's. They beat some good teams and obviously fell off with some bad teams. But all in all, Pitino has really changed his recruiting and the way people look at St. John's now. It's crazy. Pitino's been there how long? What has it been? 2 years, 3 years?
2 years. And they should have gotten in last year, too. That was what I was joking about last week when Johnny was on. He was like, why are they putting freaking Virginia in? And Virginia stuck into the committee and scoring 40 points. I hope they enjoyed that over.
Just think, if Pitino wins a national championship with St. John's, and it's a long shot, but if he wins a national championship with the Johnnies, okay, this probably would go down as one of the greatest hires in NCAA history. Just think about it. The Johnnies haven't won in over 35 years. It's longer than that, 40-something years, okay? And then you bring in Rick Pitino, who's from New York, grew up a Johnny's fan. He grew up as a basketball coach with the New York Knicks, and he's traveled from one place to another. He's won multiple national championships in different spots, and he goes to his hometown and wins a national championship in his second year. It's an incredible feat. So I think it's unique, and they have the Big East Player of the Year right now. I think right now this might be the best chance that Johnny's has had in probably 15 years. I think it was 15 years ago when the Johnny's had a chance to go far in the tournament. Who was the coach of that team? And I forget. He actually got fired because he had cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, is that the one that just passed away?
I don't know if he passed away, but I know he had cancer. And he got in trouble with the school. There was something going on with the recruiting, and he got in trouble. And
right, yeah, April 2011. It was Steve Lavin.
Lavin,
yeah,
Lavin. Yep, it was Steve Lavin.
He was with UCLA too, right?
I'm not sure.
No, that's Steve Alford.
Yeah, I remember Lavin because I actually met Lavin at a basketball tournament out in the Hamptons, and Steve was really, really nice. I didn't even know who he was until he told me who he was.
With UCLA.
Was he? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know Steve was a really, really good coach with the Johnnies for about 4 to 5 years. Then he got in trouble. I know he had cancer, but I know he got into a little bit of trouble. Some of his recruiting things that he was doing was illegal in the NCAA, and he was eventually fired by the Johnnies. So, but Lavin really took the team to that next level. They couldn't get over the hump, and now Pitino's going to have the chance now. I think this is the best record they've had in probably 20-something years. So we haven't seen the Johnnies in a position to do something like this. So that's been really, out of all the teams that we've mentioned, and the teams that a lot of people are expecting to go all the way, Auburn is expected to go all the way, especially what they've done all season long. They are not the number one ranking. Okay, they're not. They have a tremendous defense. They really do. They're a really good defensive team. All these teams, Duke, Houston is more of an offensive, high-flying offense, but they play pretty good team defense, especially when it comes to half-court basketball. Florida is also a high-flying offense that plays good half-court defense. So all 4 of these teams are sensational. They absolutely deserve to be number one seeded teams, but this might be the most opened NCAA tournament we've seen in a very, very long time. As good as Duke is, and I know everybody's questioning, is Duke going to be the same if Cooper Kupp doesn't play? Well, they answered to the bell what they did to North Carolina in the ACC tournament, okay? They absolutely demolished North Carolina. So and North Carolina is not a shoo-in. I know everybody says, well, this isn't the same North Carolina team that we've seen over the years. Hubert Davis is obviously, if this North Carolina team doesn't get out of the second round, Hubert Davis is probably going to get fired. This is the team that's still trying to find their way. The last time they went far into the tournament was 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. They went to the championship.
They went to the championship in 2017. They beat Gonzaga in that year, and even that had some controversy too. The last time they were
that was like 8 years ago.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they've been a 1 seed a couple times. I picked them to win it all last year.
Didn't they go to the finals a couple of years ago? I'm not sure.
Oh, that's right. You're right. They made it as an 8 seed. They beat Duke in the tournament that year. That's right. Yeah.
They went to the finals and they lost.
They lost to Kansas. Yes, you're right. Yeah. But the last time they were a 1 seed was last year. I picked them to win it all last year, and they lost to Alabama.
And it was around St. Patty's Day when they lost the national championship. I remember, I think it was during St. Patty's Day parade that I was at, where I watched the national championship and watched them just absolutely fall flat on their face. But nevertheless, North Carolina is not the same powerhouse they've been over the years, and Hubert Davis is right now on a hot seat. I believe that, because North Carolina, their recruiting classes over the last 2 seasons have not been very good. Look what Duke has really put together. Look at the players they brought in. They brought in 3 of the top 8 prospects in high school basketball in the last year, 2 years. And Cooper Kupp was the number one prospect, I believe, in the whole country. And Cooper Kupp has been the best player in the country all season long. Now, he hurt his ankle. He missed the final, what was it? The final game or the final 2 games?
Final 2 games.
Final 2 games.
They didn't need him, really. They were going to be a 1 seed anyway.
No, because the ACC, they completely dominated all season long.
Did you see his chain, too, when he walked on the court? Oh, my Lord. What,
Dude.
what are these dudes getting paid? Holy cow!
That guy's getting paid, man. That guy is definitely getting paid. New Balance has him already. They've already signed him. If I'm not mistaken, it's a multi-million-dollar deal, and he is going to be the number one prospect going into this draft. I don't care what anybody says. Who's this guy, Clint or Flint, whatever? I forget who the top 3 guys are right now, but I know there was an argument a couple of years ago when everybody was talking about his freshman year and that he was going to be a one-and-done player and that Cooper Flagg was maybe the second or third best player in this class. I beg to differ. This guy is by far the best player in the country, and he is the bona fide number 1 pick in all of the NBA draft. Whoever gets the number 1 draft pick is going to draft Cooper Flagg, and he is a sensational player. Great, very well brought up. He's from Maine. He might be one of the first superstars to come out of Maine. I think in NBA history. I don't even remember the last Maine player to come out and be as good as Cooper Flagg has been in his freshman year of college, and is expected to be an all-world player. And by the way, I've been saying this for about 6 years. Cooper Flagg is the white Kevin Durant. I'll say it again, because when this guy gets into the NBA and he figures how to shoot even better at the three-point line, this guy is unstoppable. Unstoppable. His inside game is unstoppable. Ask LeBron James when they were practicing during the United States versus the United States juniors. He absolutely dominated those games. And I'm telling you right now, this kid is the real deal. And everybody wants to know who's the face, who's going to be the face of United States basketball. It's this kid. This kid is going to be the face of United States basketball. Not Anthony Edwards, not Tatum. I'm telling you guys, when this guy, he is such a likable person. When you watch him on the court, he's not even playing in the game. He's out there on the sidelines going crazy when his team's blocking or getting a good big rebound or even scoring. This guy is the ultimate team player. And I love what I see about him. Everything about this kid really spells superstar right in front of my eyes. We'll have to see how it works in the NBA. It might take a year, but usually when you see a guy this good in college basketball as a freshman, how old is he? He's 18 years old, and he's already dominating against senior guys and sophomore guys and junior guys. To me, he's not only a bona fide star, he'll be a bona fide star when he steps on an NBA basketball court. So he's a guy that really stands out to me. In Arkansas, I know everybody looks at Arkansas right now. They're a 10th seed. Everybody knows who their coach is, okay? Everybody knows who their coach is. So to think for 1 second that this team cannot go all the way, you're sadly mistaken. I'm telling you right now, Arkansas, even though they're a number 10 seed, could go all the way. They could play defense. They had a pretty good recruiting class this year, and they could score. And they're pretty good on the perimeter. So I know everybody, I'm telling you right now, I don't watch college basketball like Speedy. Probably don't watch as much college basketball as Joba probably does. But I watch enough of it to tell you that I've watched Arkansas this year. They've beaten good teams. It's not like they haven't beaten anybody. And like I said, when you have a great coach, a guy that knows how to win, you can win. So, and we've seen Davidson did it, and Davidson doesn't have anywhere close. At the time when Steph Curry was the superstar player of that team, they didn't have a coach like this one, okay? So I'm just telling you guys, coaching is very important in a tournament, especially when you go into the second half of that game and you're trying to find ways to score. And you're calling a lot of timeouts, and it's slow. The game slows down. College basketball, it's one of the most boring things to watch, especially in the first round of March Madness, because the games go on forever. You watch games at 12 midnight that are live. It's unbelievable. And you're like, when's this game going to end? When's this game going to end? I feel bad for the kids. So, I mean, Arkansas is definitely a dangerous team, and I've watched Xavier twice this year. I don't know much about them. They're very well coached. They had a very good recruiting class. I don't think Xavier is really scary in this tournament. No. I expect Xavier to be knocked out. Maybe if they get out of the first round, I think Xavier could be surprised and be knocked out in the first round. So I look at Arkansas. I look at North Carolina. North Carolina, it's a hit or miss with them. What team shows up every single game? And that's the thing. Hubert Davis, and we all know Hubert Davis. If you're a Knicks fan, you know him very, very well. I know Fish knows him. I know Jabba, you know Hubert Davis, and Speedy, you know Hubert Davis too. So I worry that the North Carolina Tar Heels, they don't have enough depth to get over the hump this year. And they don't have enough size either. They're not a big team, and they had problems against Duke on the boards, and they're going to have problems later in the tournament if they get out of the first round.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the conference reputation has been tarnished definitely when you look at those two teams getting in. North Carolina, I do agree with you, is on paper not bad. They could actually still be maybe a team that could win an 11 versus 6 matchup. Xavier, I'm with you. It's kind of like an offense heavy type team. Sean Miller used to coach Arizona, got them in a whole scandal, is now over there. And now you're looking at a team that's really just damaged on conference reputation. They want one quality win. That doesn't say much when it comes to an actual team that can compete. Now, we've seen the play-in teams do well. Look at NC State last year. They had to be a play-in team, and they went all the way to the Final Four. Sometimes that happens. Other teams go to the Elite Eight, like Oregon State did the one year when they were a 12 seed. But Jabba, I know you were watching Nebraska all the time with the Big Ten, and you look at that whole conference championship. They're also proving to this tournament that maybe these conference championships don't have as much water as they usually do. And while it shouldn't be everything, like the fact that Michigan didn't go up at all was very surprising. Same kind of thing in the Big 12. Houston was locked into the one, but the other teams that really did well in that tournament didn't really go up more than they should. So I don't know if they're valuing that as much. As far as the SEC getting all those teams in, I knew they were going to get like 12. I was surprised they got all 14 of them in, but I do agree with Errol. Arkansas is going to be tough. I think that when you look at Vanderbilt, they're a fun young team as well.
You have to look at the coaches. Michigan State has a all-world coach. Duke doesn't. We all know that. St. John's, Rick Pitino, another all-world coach. Arkansas, all-world coach. We're mentioning, how about Gonzaga? Right now,
they are very interesting.
Gonzaga is another team that is a champion.
And they always do something to surprise you, and especially at this time of the year too.
Gonzaga is an 8 seed, but they actually have like advanced stats that are really on their side. They look like they should be a 3 seed, like the way their stats look. And like Errol's saying, like they have a coach that they haven't won the big one yet, but he's been in the Sweet 16 8 times.
In the NCAA tournament, when it comes to college basketball, coaching means everything. All the talent in the world, these games are so close, so evenly matched. No matter how much talent the other team has, or how many top number 1 players they have, or 5-star recruits they have, we asked Duke. I mean, seriously, how many times did the Duke Blue Devils have 5-star recruits and fallen flat on their face in the second round? I've seen this over and over and over again. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again to them this year if Cooper Flagg isn't 100% healthy. But nevertheless, I look at coaching, and I just mentioned the 4 teams to watch out. St. John's with Pitino, he knows how to win. Arkansas, Calipari, he knows how to win. Michigan State, obviously, we know him. And then Gonzaga. Those are 4 teams, 4 guys that won national championships, that have been there a long, long time and understand how and what it takes to win these kind of tournaments.
Yeah, it's also interesting with these top 3 teams too. Like these are a lot of coaches looking to finally make that breakthrough too. Houston's been that kind of like Gonzaga. They've been kind of stuck where they're getting in there consistently, just not winning the big one with Kelvin Sampson. And like he's saying in the comment section, they've had the best defensive team, kind of transitioning from Virginia away from it, the best defensive team in the country for a while. Alabama's the number 1 offensive country with a coach that you know well, Fish, and Nate Oates, the coach at Buffalo. He's really built a nice program over there. These are coaches right on the cusp. But then you have these experienced coaches right there that are trying to get that over the top. Michigan State's interesting because they have one of the best teams on paper. It's weird though, because their teams don't do as well when they're a higher seed. They tend to do well where they are a 7 seed in the final.
And you know what's so funny? And I'm looking at Keith right now, and he says, "You don't like Shire, you're nuts." Really? Here's what I'm going to say. Here's the reason why I don't like Shire.
Boy.
Shire is one of the most overrated Duke players I ever watched play college basketball. That's one. Number 2, he didn't recruit this class. Coach K did. Okay? How many times do I have to tell you? The only reason why these guys went over there to that school is because Coach K is still involved with the school and the program. Okay? Carlos Boozer, his 2 kids who are right now in next year's class. Those 2 kids are superstars. Okay? Why are they going there? Because Coach K is still a part of that organization. So stop thinking that it's just Shire. Anybody could coach Cooper Flagg and these players. You could coach these players. Don't stop with this Shire crap. I mean, sitting here right now, Shire's going to fall flat on his face. And no matter how much talent he has, they're going to fall flat on their face. You really think they're going to win the national championship with Coach Shire there? Give me a break. This isn't Coach K. Stop with this. I never thought that Shire was ever going to win a national championship. And when teams and people start to see this guy for what he is, and that's a choke artist, Coach K is going to realize he made a huge, huge mistake. I am a Duke fan, and I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses. They have a crazy recruiting class this year. The only problem here, so I'm stuttering over it because Coach Shire is the coach of this team. Not Coach K, not Hurley, not any of them. It's Shire. That's it.
Yeah, a better coach knows how to at least not score, I think, 50 points in 2023 when they played Tennessee. Granted, Tennessee's a good defense, but they lost that game by getting smoked. And then last year in the Elite Eight, losing to NC State.
NC State, that team. NC State.
By the way, just fired their coach this year.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely.
They were a play-in team last year, weren't they?
11 seed. Yep, 11 seed play-in team. They beat Marquette the round before. And then Duke beats Houston, the number 1 seed last year, holding them like 47 points last year, and then they lose to NC State.
Keith, you forget I'm a Duke fan. Okay, you're gonna say that I'm nuts. I don't know what I'm talking about. Everybody says that. Go on all of the social medias, all the posts. They say I'm nuts. I don't know what I'm talking about. But obviously, you're listening, so you know I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not taking shots at Shire because I don't think he's good. I'm taking shots at Shire because I don't think he can win. I don't think he's a winning coach. And anybody that thinks that he is an idiot. And I think he's an idiot. That's all I'm going to tell you about that. If Shire gets to the Final Four, and they should get to the Final Four, they should have an easy way to the Final Four. If he gets to the Final Four against any of these, if there's 3 or 2 of the top 4 number 1 seeds and they have to play one of them, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. They got to be, depending on who they match up on the other side of the bracket. I didn't look at the bracket yet. Who's the other number 1 team on the other side of the bracket?
On that side, it's Houston.
They play Houston in the Final Four. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. There's no way they're beating Houston in the Final Four, even with Cooper Flagg, because they're not going to be able to stop them on the boards. That team is big, they're strong, and they can shoot. So they fall behind. Good luck. Okay.
And the 2 seed in their own region is the offensive juggernaut in
bring
Alabama.
Bring Owen in. I like to hear their opinion on this crazy bracket.
Owen wants to complain about Creighton getting screwed by probably 1 seed.
I know, but Owen brought up a good point, and I'll let him go. And you kind of touched on it too, Speedy, about how it feels like the conference tournaments doesn't mean anything because they're, just because you did what you did, I feel like they use, and this is just my opinion, those quad 1 wins or those quad 2 wins more so than what your conference tournament actually ends up coming to be.
Yeah, when I looked at the brackets, it kind of stood out to me a couple things. 14 SEC teams is ridiculous. If you finish 14 in your conference, I don't think you deserve to be in the tournament, where you could have got West Virginia, you could have got Indiana and those type of teams if you would have just taken 12 teams. As far as the seeding goes, it's crazy to me that Auburn got the number 1 overall seed when they didn't win their conference tournament. Duke did. Duke was the number 1 overall team going into the conference tournaments. And now all of a sudden we're just like, yep, Auburn gets the number 1 overall seed. I don't really understand how that works. Same thing with Creighton. Creighton beats UConn and twice, 2 out of 3 times playing, and they get an 8 seed or 9 seed, and UConn gets an 8 seed. Marquette got a 7 seed, and Creighton beat them twice this year. So it's like, how are we doing these brackets? How are we seeding them? What's the big deals? They say quad 1 wins. Well, then North Carolina only had 1 of those. I think even Nebraska had 5 quad 1 wins this year. So that's saying, like, how are we putting these into a bracket and making it fair for everyone? I know Creighton goes to Louisville or Lexington and has to play a tough Louisville team. And then if they don't win that and Louisville goes forward, they get a home series against the number 1 overall seed. So you're like, oh, that kind of sucks for Auburn, who has to go to Lexington, where it's going to be all Louisville fans, and get kind of hosed during that. So it's just, those are my takeaways, is like, we need to put more emphasis on the conference championships, make the seeding make sense, if we're going to go off quad one wins, great, but let's not put in teams that aren't winning quad one games and make sure that we're rewarding teams that need to be rewarded.
Who cares if they're quad one, quad two, quad three?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. But if you go play head to head,
what the hell's a quad one?
But Auburn didn't even make the championship game, and now all of a sudden they're the number one overall seed. Duke won without Cooper Flag, and so they don't deserve to be the number one seed.
Yeah, I think what you're saying too, Owen, is like, would say a Mountain West team that schedules 15 of those quad one games get that same level of leeway if they went 1-13 in those games?
Yeah, and they wouldn't.
Like Boise State, if Boise State hypothetically scheduled all those games, went 1-14 in them, would they get that same leeway Carolina or Xavier got?
Exactly. No, and they wouldn't. And that's what I'm saying is it needs to be set in stone how they do this instead of just giving certain teams the easier path, or because you have a coach with a bigger name, you get a better seed. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
I don't.
Oh, go ahead, Fish.
I personally I'm with you, Errol. I trust the coaches this time of year. I'm going to ride with Tom Izzo because I know Tom Izzo can do this. I also know Houston chokes every single time. I have their last since 2019. They've been a 3 seed, 2 seed, 5 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, and 1 seed. One Final Four appearance, and that's it. 2 Elite Eights. They've been knocked out in the Sweet 16 almost every single time. Take them through the first weekend, folks. But if you really think Houston's going to go somewhere, history is arguing. Yeah, it's kind of like the Gonzaga thing. But Gonzaga, you always knew like they didn't really have the talent to get over the top. I don't know what it is with Houston. Like until the very end when Gonzaga really had talent, they probably should have won one of those.
They have the most random offensive duds ever.
Well, with Houston, they press the ball. So, like in the short schedule of a tournament, they're constantly pressuring, and by the third, fourth game, they're worn out. So, if you watch their basketball games, they're full court all game long. Same thing used to happen with Huggins, West Virginia teams. They were really good, but they would pressure the ball all the way up and down the court and get worn out and never make the bigger games. So that's probably what's going on with Houston.
This is a different Houston team than it has been over the last.
That's what they say every year.
They were one seed the last 2 years.
I'm telling you, this is a different Houston team this year. I'm telling you. And if they go to the Final Four this year and they match up against Duke, they're beating Duke. I'm telling you.
They lost to Duke when Duke was a 4 seed last year, 51-54.
I remember.
They lost to the great John Shire.
You forget that I'm a Duke fan.
And I was the immortal John Shire coaching that team.
Please, the immortal. He's the immortal, all right. He's the immortal. Let me tell you. He makes me sick to my stomach every time I watch him as a head coach. Anytime I see his ugly mug on the sidelines, scratching the back of his head, it makes me sick to my stomach.
I got one guy that I like to root against. There is one guy I can't stand. I think he's from Brooklyn, where I'm from, and it's Bruce Pearl in Auburn. Bruce Pearl rubs me the wrong way every time I see him. Now
he's got a face you could like punch.
Joba, don't you feel like when you see him, he's like the guy that you wanted to beat in the schoolyard no matter what? Like, this is a guy that has irrational confidence and is not particularly good. He's just going to keep showing up and is relentless. And that's his number one quality. And he's great at that. But he's also a pain in the ass and talks a lot. And now when you see him in interviews, he's not even pretending to be happy-go-lucky because that was his shtick for a very long time. Now he's just like, I'm the best kind of stuff. Like Dan Hurley did, but at least Dan Hurley's funny about it. This dude is not funny about it.
Kurt Signetti from Indiana this year. That's who kind of cross sports.
First of all, Danny Hurley is a different kind of animal, okay? That guy is out of his friggin' mind. But you like that. You like that about him, and that's why UConn has to make this tournament. Do they go far in this tournament? Probably not. But who knows? With Danny Hurley as your head coach and doing all the crazy things that he does on the sidelines and what he says to the referees, anything is possible with Danny Hurley on the sidelines.
Oh, he'll go at coach. He'll go at coaches. He'll go at fans. Like, he walked out when he beat Creighton, and he was like, I was like, whatever. I mean, you win, and I guess it's
great.
Tough to argue with.
you have to root him on. And first of all, he coaches UConn, and this is around my tri-state area. So if you're a UConn fan, I always root UConn on, because there was a couple of really good New York players that have come from the the UConn program. But I think obviously this year it's not their year. Their class and by the way, Danny Hurley, I think it was 60 Minutes, wasn't 2020. It was 60 Minutes that did a story about him going into this year's tournament, and no team has ever won 3 in a row. And he says if they don't win a national championship, it's a complete loss of a season. And this is a guy that came out and said that the portal has ruined college basketball. He said it. He said that almost 90% of his players going into next year's season are probably going to be in the portal and going to other teams. So that's scary when you think about it, that you're not going to bring, if some of these guys want to come back, they're not coming back to your school. They're going to another school to try to win a national championship after winning two championships in a row. So
what was the number he turned down from the Lakers? Was that public?
It was 15 a year, I believe.
It was $15 million a year,
which is actually less than what Calipari got.
And he wanted $20 million. That's what I remember. He wanted $20 million, and the Lakers didn't want to budge on that, which I don't understand. I think he would have been great over there with the Lakers. And I know Redick is doing great over there. That's all I keep hearing all I keep hearing from Keith. Redick's the best. He's the best. He should win Coach of the Year. Please stop it, Keith. He's had a good season. He also coaches LeBron James. Is this team going to win a championship this year? I think they're better than you think they are, especially if LeBron James is 100% healthy. But hey, I could be wrong. You obviously think that I am. And by the way, I know Keith is trying to call up the show.
Call back later. We have a guest. We have a guest on at 8:30. So call back after the guest.
Yeah, we do have a couple of things to get into before the guest, and I do want to get out of it. But I want to say one more thing before we get out of this, because we're going to do our bracket on Wednesday. So all the fans, if you're waiting to see how we're going to be picking our brackets, watch on Wednesday. It's going to be fun. You guys could join in. If you want to join in, we'll set something up where you can be a part of this as well. The one thing I want to say with the NCAA tournament, there's always one team. There's always one team that you don't expect to go far in this tournament and shows up and puts up a hell of a tournament. And I don't know who that's going to be. I got to see how the bracket falls. But usually, Speedy, you're actually pretty good at that. I will give you that credit. Your brackets always suck, but you pick the team.
What happens is I know
his brackets suck, guys. If you ever watch his brackets, they're horrible after the first round. Absolutely a bombshell. But he picks that one team that goes far in the tournament. I'm like, how did you guess this one?
Yeah, well, what end up happening is I'll pick one of these either good underdogs, and in those years, my brackets will be out in the first weekend, or it'll be case of last year, or in the case of last year, they all go out at the same time, but I won't get that one sleeper. So it ends up neutralizing at the end.
Every year, I get 2 of my teams that go to the Final Four. Every year. And I get one team that goes to the finals, and it doesn't really matter because I'm so behind after the Elite 8. And then there's no way I'm going to catch up. But I'm actually my bracket. I've won a couple of brackets before, so it's all a guessing game. It's really just looking at the bracket and kind of guessing how everything falls. But you never know. And by the way, Gonzaga hasn't.
No, they haven't.
No, but they've been to how many championships?
8 straight Sweet 16s. They've been to the Final Four 3 times recently. So
and they've been to
all
championships.
We're saying is they have a team.
They have a great coach
in an 8 seed that is a lot better than an 8 seed.
They have a great coach, and he knows how to win. And that's all I'm saying. It's all about finding ways to win. And when you have a great coach, especially in this tournament, you need a great coach. You can have the best players in the world. If you don't have that guy that's going to call the timeout at the right time and make sure that you're rounding up and calling the right play and who you're giving the ball at, because the games are very close. You're down by 2, you're down by 1, and you got to hit a big shot. You need that big play, and you have to call that play. And that's why the coaches are so very, very important in this tournament. Speaking of important, Adam Schefter reports that the Texans have made Derek Stingley the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, signing him to a 3-year, $90 million fully guaranteed contract. Ian Rappaport reports that Cooper Kupp signed with Seattle, 3 years and $45 million, reportedly taking less money to return home to his home state in Washington. Yahoo Sports reports that the Falcons will keep Kirk Cousins on their roster and pay him and pay him the extra $10 million roster bonus he is owed, there is still belief they could try to trade him later in the season. Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz reports that Aaron Rodgers prefers the Vikings and is waiting on the decision from before committing anywhere else. The Giants met with Russell Wilson on Friday, which they should, and are making time to meet Jameis Winston today. Adam Schefter reports that the Bengals paid both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins big contracts. And by the way, Jamar Chase just got what was it, $125 million guaranteed. It's ridiculous. The contract for Higgins is 4 years, $115 million. And the contract for Chase is 4 years, $161.5 million. And by the way, the $161.5 million, $120.5, I think, is guaranteed money that's going to Jamar Chase. And by the way, as much as everybody likes Jamar Chase, I believe that T. Higgins might even be better than he is. Now, we haven't seen it because Jamar Chase is the number one target over there with the Bengals. But when T. Higgins is 100% healthy, Jamar Chase is not as big as him. He's not as strong as him. Now, I know Keith is going to say, I'm out of my mind, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I watch football, Keith. And I'm telling you right now, T. Higgins is a great player. And this was an absolute home run. But here's the problem. T. Higgins can't stay healthy, and Jamar Chase is up and down sometimes. And it takes Jamar Chase usually a half a season to figure things out. And that's the problem. Jamar Chase has to be 110% throughout the season. And Joe Burrow, he's good 1 year, he falls off, he gets hurt another year. He's good 1 year, and he gets hurt another year. Joe Burrow needs to stay 100% healthy this year, especially if their defense is not going to be as good as it's been. Now, obviously, Trey might not be back next year. They might decide. I know everybody says they were willing to take less money. They said that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase was going to take less money. I don't see how they took less money.
No.
They took just as much as we expected them to. So I don't know how Trey is going to go back there. So they lose Trey. And now you're looking at their defense. Where do they go in the draft? Do they go all defense? Do they go pass rush in the first round and second round? They might have to because they have none. And if you're going to depend on your offense, which Fish knows, that might be a slap in the face. I love the Cooper Kupp move. And I know Fish has numbers to tell you that this is not a good move for the Seattle Seahawks. He's going home, guys. He's going home. Sam Darnold is going to use him as his number one target. We'll see how it works. We'll see how McDonald him. And again, is Cooper Kupp going to be 100%? He probably isn't. But even 80% of Cooper Kupp is going to give you 1,200 yards, and it's going to give you about 8 or 9 touchdowns. I love Cooper Kupp, and until it's proven otherwise, I think it's a good signing. He got him on the cheap. 3 years, $45 million. I mean, are you going to pay DK Metcalf what he got paid? I'm serious. I wouldn't. I would take Cooper Kupp, a healthy Cooper Kupp, over DK Metcalf any day. Any day. Now, what kind of Cooper Kupp are we going to have every single year? That only time will tell. But we don't know what Cooper Kupp's going to be with a new system and how they're going to run him in this offense. So the Kirk Cousins thing is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what the Atlanta Falcons are thinking. I would say, to me, is hold on to Kirk Cousins before the preseason's over, and then I try to move him because I believe there's going to be an injury somewhere in the preseason, or somebody's going to get hurt, and you need a star quarterback or a competent number one quarterback that's going to be able to play for at least 7-8 weeks until your quarterback comes back. And Kirk Cousins is the perfect fit anywhere. So I think Atlanta's holding on to him. Aaron Rodgers wanting to go to Minnesota. Why? Why do you want to do what Brett Favre did? You're doing exactly what Favre did. Favre left the Green Bay Packers to go to the Jets. He was there 1 year, choked up, didn't do what he was excited. It was 8-5, or what was it? 8-3, gets hurt against the Patriots on a Thursday night football game, and then he was done with the Jets. Then he goes to he decides where he's going to go. The Jets move him. He retires. He comes back. The Jets move him to Minnesota. He goes to Minnesota, and then he makes a run with Minnesota. You do not want to do what Brett Favre did at the end of his career. And it seems like the trajectory is going exactly the way Brett Favre went. It went the same way. So I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing, but it seems like the Giants have made a decision. They're going with Russell Wilson. I think that's the better move for them, especially if you're going to bring in a Cam Ward, because guess what? Russell Wilson is just a fill-in until 6 or 7 weeks in, where you're going to bring in Cam Ward and expect him to understand the offense. So I think this is a good move for the Giants if they bring in somebody like him. Jameis Winston is not a slam dunk. And for any Giant fan to sit here and say, hey, we got Jameis Winston, we're going all the way. If they bring in Jameis Winston, Joe Shane is gone within 2 or 3 weeks. Russell Wilson has to be the guy. I think they don't. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have let Russell Wilson leave over there where the practice facilities over there with the Giants. I think that was a big mistake. But all in all, I think Russell Wilson's a better fit. The Jamar Chase, T. Higgins slam dunk as well. The Derek Stingley. Here's the thing: Derek Stingley, when 100% healthy, this guy is probably a top 5 corner in football. I think he's a little bit overrated, and I wouldn't have paid him the highest contract, guaranteed money a corner's ever gotten in NFL history. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's crazy. And go look at Stingley when it comes down to big games and against big wide receivers. He can't stop them. So I think this is a lot of money to give to a guy. I understand what the Texans are doing. They trust in their players. They trust in their draft picks that they draft, and they're depending on Derek Stingley to stay healthy. I think that's a little bit too much when it comes to paying some of the superstars you're going to have to pay in the future.
Way too much, because Patrick Surtain, who was the best corner in football, was defensive player of the year this year, got $24 million a year last year, and he's getting $6 million more than him per year, and like you said, almost fully guaranteed. Like all but $1 million is guaranteed. Hope you could get your $1 million for something else, whatever. But nevertheless, that's what you're paying for a guy that's also had some hamstring and leg problems in his career as well. That's good luck with that.
All those LSU guys, man, all of them,
a lot,
hamstring and leg problems after they go to the NFL. Odell Beckham. Who was the other one that was drafted with Odell Beckham? Jarvis Landry had leg and hamstring problems. All of those LSU guys, they come out. Even Justin Jefferson, he's another one that's had hamstring and leg problems.
Leonard Fournette's probably had every injury.
Jamar Chase had leg and hamstring problems when he came out. They all do. All those LSU guys do. So maybe it's something over there in the LSU water. Where are you, Goody? Where are you?
He'll be coming in later to probably rebel on that. But going back to the NFL free agency, the quarterback situations make no sense for either one of those circumstances. One with Atlanta, you don't want that extra drama to linger on, even though if you're trying to get trade value, what are you going to get, a 6th round pick? What are you going to really do with that? You're throwing darts at that point, just like we were saying with the brackets, picking a 11 seed to go to the Final Four. You're throwing darts at a 6th round pick. Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings is a fan narrative that's been going on for a while just because it would be funny. It does the exact same trajectory as Brett Favre. Maybe he wants to stick it to the Packers. Fine. The Vikings are not going to do that. They're not that kind of organization. And I don't think the Giants are really either. I think he's going to end up with the Steelers. Chase and Higgins, yeah, good luck. You just have to draft well on defense. Rebuild your defense that way. They haven't done well at that so far. They brought in a lot of free agents on defense, and that's how they got good in the first couple of years. They have not drafted well on defense, so they got to figure that out if they're going to commit to these guys.
Don't share a Wu-Tang pie with the Rock.
As for Kupp, I think they're trying to get him into a good contract. They need a better number 2 receiver, guy with experience. I think Najigba's going to emerge into the number 1. He played very well last year in the second half of the season, and Kupp's a fine number 2, but his injury risk is definitely concerning, and he hasn't been as good since he came back from that injury last year.
Yeah, I think it's, if you look at all of the ones, some of the quarterback ones, did they overpay for Higgins and Jamar Chase? No, I mean, we kind of all thought that was going to be.
I think Higgins a little bit. Chase is about what we expected.
Right, but kind of what we thought they would. I think, Errol, you're right on if Russell's a way better fit. I don't know what the hell Aaron Rodgers is thinking. I mean, follow that same path. Like, make your own. Like, it's just a weird sense. And Stingley's crazy too. Being 23 and obviously, not even. I wouldn't say he's even the best corner right now, and getting what he's getting. And there was some surprise. I think Cooper Kupp's a great fit. I don't know if I'd have given him 3 years, but just as far as, just the injury stuff and what. Yeah, I think
the 3rd year, it actually doesn't really cost them that much money. I mean, honestly, after 2 years, they can drop him and it doesn't hurt it doesn't really affect their cap. What is it, $8 million that hurts their cap? It's not going to kill them. And honestly, if Cooper Kupp is anywhere close or even 85%, it's a slam dunk for Sam Darnold. He's a great team player.
I disagree, man. And listen, I just watched an incredible thing with Cooper Kupp, how he overcame people saying he can't do it at every level. This is a guy that you want on your team. Here's the problem. Let me read to you his steep decline in the ability to get open. This is per ESPN's player tracking data. In 2021, when he had that monster year, he was 15th in the league in getting open out of 160 ranked players. The next year, he was 71st out of 150, middle of the road. The year after that, 102 out of 153. And last year, 141 out of 159. What does that tell you?
He barely.
It doesn't. But Errol, look, it doesn't matter. The problem is you can't pay a guy who doesn't have game-breaking speed that doesn't get open unless he has every other intangible, and he might. But giving him a $15 million deal when the guy doesn't get open anymore, that's Kenny Golladay. That's what we're talking about here. He might be. Well, of course, he's better than Kenny Golladay. Look, before Kenny Golladay got hurt, he was a Pro Bowl player. He was. He just didn't have the speed. Well, look, you're not. Look, Gettleman was fooled by it, but I'll say this: as soon as some of those guys that don't have the elite speed have that injury, and they can't get back to a passable level of speed, it doesn't matter. He's just not that guy anymore. And if McVay is giving up on him, I think that says a lot. That's my opinion on it. But look, there's a lot of good deals. I think it's crazy that they're not paying Trey Hendrickson and they decided to pay T. Higgins. I think that's suicidal for Zach Taylor, a guy who doesn't know defense, by the way. He can coach offense. You don't need to have the best receivers in the league to coach offense. Joe Burrow can get it to anybody. They have guys all over that roster that are mid-round picks that catch the ball pretty well. I don't know why they needed to pay T. Higgins that money. That's crazy to me. You need to pay it on defense because your defense was probably the worst in the NFL last year or close to it. That's the reason they didn't make the playoffs. They were garbage on defense. And I'm sorry, you're going to continue to be even worse because Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks last year on your garbage defense. And he had the same amount of sacks the year before, 17 and a half, 2 consecutive years. No, let me pay my number 2 receiver. Are you stupid or something?
And what will they have to even pay him at this point?
Not enough. It's not enough.
They said that they're still trying to sign him as of today. Like when I was looking into it, they said they're still trying to sign Hendrickson.
Okay,
but
say
what are
they
going to
do.
do? Who are they going to get after that?
That's right.
Zero cap.
Say they do sign Hendrickson. Now they have one player on a defense. I think they re-signed B.J. Hill. So my old Giant love.
Oh yeah, great.
Inside tackle. He's
Cam
a good
Taylor
player.
Britt.
Not great.
They have
Cam Taylor Britt, who's like Jekyll and Hyde out there. He was great against the Giants. But that's a
Let's
team
get a BJ
like,
on the hill, baby.
Well, but I agree. I agree with you, Fish. I don't know why they were trying to pay T. Higgins, other than I think they're scared that Burrow would have left if he didn't get his weapons that he's been begging them to pay all year. So I think that's why they probably said, you know what, let's just give Burrow what he wants. As far as Aaron Rodgers, why wouldn't you want to go play with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and a good running back and
never going to play
a fan base that's not going to sit there and belittle every move you make? He might want to get out of the limelight a little bit, still do his Pat McAfee show, but not have people murder him every time he goes on there from the Jets organization, So I think that's a real deal. And I think the Giants and the Steelers are in a waiting game on if Aaron Rodgers goes with the Vikings. Because why wouldn't they have signed Russell Wilson? Like you said, Errol, why would he have left the building? I think they want to see if Aaron Rodgers goes with the Vikings, then they're going to make an offer to Aaron Rodgers. Then if Aaron Rodgers says, no, I'm going to Pittsburgh, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's the 3rd pick for the Giants. So I don't know. Free agency's been a little bit crazy, but I think the Aaron Rodgers saga is just similar to the Brett Favre one, and you're seeing he's doing exactly what Brett Favre did, except not retiring 16 times. He's just staying in the league.
And wearing a watch flashing wiener pics.
Exactly.
So we don't know what he's doing right now. I mean, seriously, he does like to smoke ayahuasca. So who knows what he's doing over there?
You
drink it. It's a tea, Errol. Come on,
Never
man.
smoking, drinking.
Come on, man.
Like I drink or smoke ayahuasca. So
Yeah, you go to the Joshua Tree every year, don't you?
No, I don't. But maybe I should. Maybe that'll get me open waiting. So, anyways, before we go, we have our guest. He's waiting for us. We have our golf clap of the day.
This deserves a golf clap.
No doubt. Golf clap. Golf clap.
All right, our golf clap of the day goes to the Johnnies, ladies and gentlemen. St. John's, who hasn't won a national championship since 1978, head to the tournament as the highest seed they've been in over 20 years. And why? Rick Pitino, one of the greatest of all time, New York native, St. John's wannabe. Well, I say wannabe because he's always wanted to coach over there in St. John's, and he's got his chance now, and he's got his chance to take his team to a national championship in his second year. If he does that, and I said it again in the beginning of the segment, if he does that, he could go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Rick Pitino, who's won multiple championships with multiple teams, has a chance to win it with the Johnnies. So my golf clap of the day goes to St. John's and the Johnnies. We love them. We love them. You love the Johnnies over here. You love them. Everybody's rooting for the Johns over here in Long Island, New York, and all over the country. You should be rooting for them. I think they're a second round knockout. That's just my opinion. I don't know how this team is going to work when you're playing against some of the best teams in the country. That's just what I'm saying. Anyways, when we come back, he's been waiting carefully. And I will say this about him. This guy knows his football. He's been doing it for a while. He started all 22 with his partner, and he's going to be joining us, and we are going to have him, well, not in studio. He'll be in his own studio, but we'll have him on the show. As everybody knows him, he's been on our show before, Ray Cotto. But first, our Sports Minute.
This is the Joba and the Mouth Sports Minute.
All right. I am Scoops, and I am back with some sports for you, ladies and gentlemen. But first, staying on the topic of NFL free agency, the Eagles, the Super Bowl champion Eagles, are actually extending offensive lineman Lane Johnson. Now, after losing some of their Super Bowl winning pieces, such as Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and even Johnson's fellow offensive lineman Mekhi Becton, Johnson will now remain in Philadelphia on a one-year deal, securing him all the way through 2027. Now, going over to some college football now, North Carolina's head coach, it's going to be weird saying that, but North Carolina's head coach Bill Belichick recruits defensive tackle Trayshawn Raffian. Now, Raffian, who most recently committed to Texas A&M, to now flips his school to join Bill Belichick in the Tar Heels. Raffian is a 4-star recruit and will suit up for the Tar Heels next season. And to round it up with some NBA stuff, the 76ers veteran guard/forward Paul George will miss the remainder of the season. George, who just signed a huge 4-year, $212 max deal, is now going to be sitting on the bench with his injured teammate Joel Embiid as he suffers from all his nagging injuries, his knee injury, his wrist injury from the rest of the season. Now is going to be shut down for the remainder of the year. And as I promised, we have some scores for you over here in Scoops and Scores. The Heat currently have a 44-43 lead over the Knicks right now, with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. Speaking of the 76ers, they actually have a 44-28 lead over the Rockets to end the first quarter. To start off the first quarter, the Pacers currently have a 24-23 lead over the Timberwolves, and the Pistons have a 29-13 lead over the Pelicans. And for some NHL scores going on right now, the Sabres and the Bruins are actually tied 2 apiece in the second period, while the Lightning have a 1-0 lead over the Flyers, and the Devils have a 2-0 lead over the Columbus Blue Jackets. And ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time I have for you guys right now. Make sure you are checking out all of our social medias at Joba in the Mouth on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and on our YouTube channel at Joba in the Mouth. And without further ado, here are the boys for your next guest, Ray Cotto on Joba in the Mouth.
Any questions?
We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
You'll burn a bush in a tire. Gross.
That was years ago.
Enjoy. No, I rock in the hospital.
You just made my nip start.
Yes, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. 631 672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to Jabba and the Mouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Jabba Chamberlain, and the Speedster. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including Jabba and the Mouth, every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Before we get our guest in, our show is brought to you by Ice Shaker. Go to iceshaker.com and shop all the official licensed collections from Star Wars to Marvel and so much more. Enjoy free shipping if you spend $50 or more. Go to iceshaker.com to check out all their great products and deals. And if you want my fat mug on an Ice Shaker, well, you can get it made specially, but it's going to take a little while because my mug is pretty damn big. Speedy's mug, one of the ugliest mugs you'll ever see. That'll scare you the hell away, especially on the top of the mug. And even Jabba's beard. You can get that on your mug if you really want to be scared of all the lice in his beard. Nevertheless, you can get them from everything, from the Jets to the Giants to the Knicks to the Mets, any one of them. All you got to do is go to www.iceshaker.com and order $50 or more, and you get free shipping. And now he's been waiting calmly and carefully and maybe carelessly, because I am careless. We are now talking to co-founder of All 22 Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. Ray, thank you for joining us. I know you were a little bit busy, but you decided to come on this crazy show.
Yeah, no, appreciate you having me. Always happy to come on with you guys and chop some shop. Let's do it.
Yeah, well.
By the way, I actually want to mention something right now. Your partner Chris is actually going to join us as well. We're gonna have a nice little All 22 reunion. He actually just responded and said he's gonna come on as well.
Oh, he's coming
man.
on too?
Yes, we're gonna have a nice little All 22 reunion.
Oh, how wonderful! How wonderful! I said wonder. I'm a little lost today. It maybe because I'm having.
You're making up words and all kinds.
I did. I made up Tamario. I made a new word, Tamario. So if you ever think about like tomorrow and you want to name your son Tamario, that was for me. That's a gift from me to you. Okay, right, Ray? If you're looking for somebody or something to name your son or your future daughter, you can call her Tamarioette, okay, or something like that. So
yeah,
there you
my
go.
wife would love that. She'd love that.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I doubt she would love that. I doubt she would love me for even giving me that idea. But anyways, we got a lot to get into. Obviously, the combine. I know you usually go at. Were you at the combine this year?
No, I was not. So I got some, let's say, family planning stuff in the way that prevents a combine appearance.
I know what it is.
Good reasons, but yeah, didn't go to the combine. But obviously, watched every second of it, kind of followed it, and have been following this class for several months now. Usually start right around Thanksgiving is when I really dive in, but always do some prep work even before that. So yeah, it's a pretty unique class to say the very least, but it's always fun.
Let me ask you a question. Girl or boy?
Second boy.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
congratulations, man. Very well deserved. I remember when you had your first one. So it's been a little while. It's a couple of years, but you've been on this show for a very long time. I mean, we really appreciate all the things. And by the way, we played your All 22 this year. I was back and forth. I couldn't jump on. I tried to keep the same team going, but it was a little hard. But maybe this year we'll do it again, and maybe I'll actually concentrate. I know Fish's eyes were like locked in with the All 22, but not me.
Fish is still mad that somebody stole Dexter Lawrence a pick before him.
That's true.
I got rocked in that league. That was not one of my better leagues.
Look who it is!
Hey,
surprise,
that's funny right over there.
It's an
The old
ambush.
Chrissy Boo.
I'm gonna hang up. No.
What's going on?
What's up, Chris?
Doing all right. How are you?
You look good, man. The last time you were on this show was a while ago. Ray's been on a couple of times. It's been a while since you've been on.
He keeps getting invited.
Wait a
There's
second.
a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
Wait a second. First of all, the producer over here, I've told him plenty of times to invite you both to come on the show and talk a little bit of football with us. This is the guy to blame. Don't blame your partner. Blame the hairy monster over there. All right.
I think I messaged you guys in a matter of like
Jaffa,
20 seconds
him.
apart.
Speedy, right over there in the middle. Right over there in the middle. That guy right there. I've been telling him, get these guys on the show. And by the way, I'd like to introduce you guys. He's been on our show. He's been with us now for 6 months, and he's a big part of the show. Jabba Chamberlain, you guys know who he is. played in the I almost said NBA, MLB.
What
I'm
is
lost.
going on with you today?
Dude, I'm having hot flashes. It's been a very long day for me today.
Is
I
it that
can't-
time of the month, or what
Yes.
are we doing here?
Yes, I have my period. Yes.
Okay,
that's-
just checking.
Yes. Anyways, let's get into some football with you guys, because obviously the combine is your specialty and fantasy football is your specialty. The number one pick, we've been going back and forth, and obviously everybody says it's a quarterback, but this kid from Penn State is an absolute can't miss type of prospect. Why do you think he's a can't miss type of prospect? Both of you.
I'll go first, because that way I know Chris is behind me, so I won't ramble on too long about how awesome Abdul Carter is. But he really is the whole package. I mean, he's got the size, got the speed. You see the flexibility even right there, just ducking under the right tackle there. He checks every single box you could possibly look for. And the crazy thing is, this was his first full year as a pass rusher. He played linebacker his first 2 years at Penn State. Whereas number 11, they only give that to the best of the best. It's a tradition that really started with LeVar Arrington back now over 25 years ago, if you could believe it. But he really does check every box physically and is still yet just scratching the surface, given his, just small amount of time actually being a full-time edge rusher. So there's really not much you look at Abdul Carter as a prospect and say, well, he doesn't quite have this or that. He really checks every box.
And I'll follow that up and say there are some superstars out there, like I reference LeBron James when I'm talking about Abdul Carter, that just get to take plays off sometimes. And if you watch Abdul Carter, like Ray and I did, we got to go out to Penn State and watch a game this year together, which was amazing. The guy, he acts a little bit like a superstar. Like, when he wants to turn it on, he's the best player on the field at all times. Sometimes he takes breaks, right? And he just flashes, right? There's nothing bad about his game. He's pure power. He's pure speed. He's pure athleticism. He's just a really special player.
So two interesting quarterback prospects. Obviously, Cam Ward is, I think, a lot of people consensus number one. Very safe prospect, experienced guy in college that has a good skill set, but waiting for that upside. And Jackson Dart, who's kind of like, he could be very bust easily because he looks like Zach Wilson.
This Jackson Dart.
He looks like Zach Wilson sometimes, but he has good arm talent and had good stats with Lane Kiffin's. Like, what are your thoughts, both of them? Chris, you go first this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Ward is the one with the higher upside. He's the very special prospect that a lot of New Yorkers right now are looking at and saying, this could be our future. This could be the guy that gets us over the quarterback hump. I like Cam Ward. I do think there's a lot about his game that still needs to be developed and still needs to be refined, even though he has played several years in college. I think he's a 5-year starter potentially. So this is a guy with tons of experience under his belt, but still shows some things to me that I would like to see just look a little bit better, a little bit smoother, just in terms of his process and the way that he goes through his play-by-play fundamentals. Jackson Dart, on the other hand, I think needs to land in exactly the right situation to be successful. This is a guy that's going to want to take the deep shot every single time. Tell me he lands in Pittsburgh, I'm going to love it, right? If you have DK Metcalf and George Pickens, and you can tell me you can just throw the ball downfield all game, he's going to do great, right? And, Mike Tomlin doesn't like to lose a lot of football games, so it'll work out for them. But if he goes to a team like the Browns, the Jets, etc., teams that just consistently fail these young quarterbacks, by not putting them in the right situation, I don't think it'll be a happy marriage in the long run.
No, it's not a happy marriage between me and you, okay? You had to mention my team. You had to bring up my team. You see I'm wearing the hat right now, and you got to make me upset. Go ahead.
We'll talk about Fields, and I'll be very high on Justin Fields. We'll talk about that later.
There you go. Thank you. I'll give you 5 for that one. 5 for that one. All right. Go ahead.
The thing with Jackson Dart, I think he really needs to get comfortable looking off of his first read, because he's not going to be able to play some of the hero ball that he got away with at Ole Miss. Sometimes that Ole Miss offense there under Kiffin makes things pretty easy for you. And when it's drawn up just right and it's there, it looks beautiful. He can, just step off that back foot, hit a corner route on a dime on the sideline, right where it needs to be. It's great. But then there's times where it's not there, and his plan B is always his legs. And that's just not always going to work in the NFL. And he's going to learn pretty quickly when he gets hit by those grown men that he needs to be able to operate better in the pocket. So I think that's the big thing with Jackson Dart. Everybody looks at him and his name is Jackson, his last name is Dart, and he has a beautiful ball. And so it's like, oh, everybody gets excited. But there are some things he really does have to sort of really develop early on in his career, or he can be in for a bit of a rough go.
Yeah, like when you guys are like looking at, I guess, evaluating talent and seeing, how things go to the next level, I've always been interested. Do you think systems fit the players more, or the players fit the system more? And which one do you think works better for one another?
It should be that the system fits the players, but it just doesn't work that way all the time. The best coaches can make the system fit the player, but I think when evaluating quarterbacks, especially, and you're looking for that future of the franchise, I mean, every year, nearly a quarter of the NFL head coaches get fired. Okay. Like on average, 6 or 7 coaches get fired. So if you really want to call a quarterback a franchise quarterback, you have to look at that quarterback and not couch it with, well, if he's in this system or that. You want someone who can be moldable in any scheme, flexible, because you can't always count on those coaches being there.
Yeah, and there are only so many players that transcend systems. And if you can get one of those players, that's what the number one pick is traditionally for. And that's why we're saying like Abdul Carter, super special. He could play anywhere. Travis Hunter can play anywhere. But when you're talking about quarterback, it's not every year that you get one of those guys. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, right? It's like every 5 years, maybe there's one of those guys that steps up and you're like, this is a can't miss guy. That does not exist in this draft. And that's why you have to start saying, okay, what systems do these quarterbacks start to fit into that I like, where I think it's a match? And I do think that it's very specific, where Jackson Dart needs to go to the right team like the Steelers. I think the Browns could work for Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders could also work in Cleveland. I think the Giants, I think Cam Ward is maybe the only one that works for the Giants, but people probably have different opinions on that.
We are speaking to the co-founders of All 22 Fantasy Football, Ray and the one and only Chris. He hasn't been on our show for a little while, but we have him back, ladies and gentlemen. I will say this. Shedeur Sanders has been the talk of everybody's conversation. And why, I don't know. Hey, maybe because his father is the one and only Prime. But all in all, this guy is falling off a lot of people's boards. And he's been falling off my board since he actually stepped on a college football field. Okay. And I watched what Colorado did this year. They didn't beat anybody in the top 25, especially top 25 defenses in all of the country. And everybody keeps talking about Travis Hunter and talk about what Shedeur Sanders did this year on a football field. Shedeur is one of the most overrated prospect quarterbacks I have ever seen. This guy is a second-round draft pick at best. Some people, and I did believe at one point last year, he was really a third-round pick. Guys, try to sell me. If I was a GM of a team, try to sell me why you think I should draft Shedeur Sanders. You first, Ray.
Okay, let's role play a bit. So Shedeur Sanders, he has an NFL offensive coordinator in college, so he's used to NFL terminology, the NFL operation as far as getting the plays in, operating a huddle, things like that do matter. Regardless of all the external noise, he grew up under a professional who knows what it takes in this league. And his best attribute is ball placement. There's a lot that goes on from snap to throw to catch, but his ball placement is at times better than anybody in this class. And I would put it at number one in the class. So there's going to be a lot of noise around him. If you try to just find the signal instead of the noise, let's really dig in and see if this is the guy for us. How'd I do?
I'll give you a B plus. Okay. That was a good sell, but I still wouldn't buy. Okay. I'm not going to buy that. Great ball placement. I got great ball placement too, especially when I'm taking a crap. So I'm just telling you the truth here. I don't know if I trust Shedeur Sanders as my franchise quarterback, especially drafting in the first round. Okay, Chris, give me your take.
Shedeur Sanders is actually my QB1 in this class. So I am higher on him than others, right? And I know that's crazy. Not a lot of people see that, but I think that he is the one quarterback that I think he can go to any situation and likely be okay, right? Talking about transcending situations, I think he is the one quarterback in this class that it would at least be okay, right? I think he raises the floor because of the ball placement. He's a good decision maker. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? Kind of like a little Aaron Rodgers, where he'll rather take a sack or throw the balls out of bounds than create a turnover-worthy play, right? So that is one thing that I think if you're the Jets or Giants or the Browns or one of those teams, right, you haven't had that in a long time. So I think it raises the floor immediately. The issue with a Shedeur Sanders is, will he ever be a player that can take a team deep into the playoffs? And I don't know if that talent exists in Shedeur Sanders, because I think he reminds me a lot of the Teddy Bridgewater's, Tua's, that kind of a quarterback where they're really accurate, they're really good, they're going to get the ball where it's supposed to go and where you want it to go. But when there's a crunch moment, is he going to be the player that elevates your team and wins a football game? That I don't know.
I love you, Chris. I really do. I love you, but I'm going to have to give you a B- for that because you brought up Aaron Rodgers in the same conversation as Shedeur Sanders. Okay. Shedeur Sanders will never be Aaron Rodgers.
There was a Teddy Bridgewater reference in there too.
Thank you.
Bridgewater is better. I think Bridgewater is a better prospect than Shedeur was. Okay. The only reason why Teddy Bridgewater really didn't take it to the next level is because of what just badly happened to him on a practice field one day. I mean, if Teddy Bridgewater didn't hurt his leg, I think Teddy Bridgewater wins a championship. I think he wins with Minnesota. It's shameful what happened. Yeah, I love Teddy Bridgewater when he played for Louisville. I followed him in college. I thought he was sensational. So I just felt like everything when it rained, it poured with him. And then he came back. And look, he came back this year. Remember, he was coaching a high school football team. He wins a championship, and he says, "You know what? I could still play in the NFL." And then he gets signed again. I mean, it's shameful what happened to Teddy, but I love him. I love his personality. I love everything about him. He's such a good, kind soul. Shedeur Sanders, we were there at the Super Bowl. We saw him at Radio Row. There was like 40 people following this guy like he's like a saint. Oh my God, it's Saint Sanders. And honest to God, the only person he spoke to was 2 kids running for his autograph. He didn't want to speak to nobody. He's such an ass. I don't like people like that. If you're gonna walk around and you're gonna have a chauffeur or whatever, chauffeur with a bunch of people, yeah, at least be a little bit more presentable and actually talk to people, speak to people, be a professional, not be an ass. And that's what he is. So I don't like him personally. Whoever takes him, and we've had people come on this show just like you, Chris, and said he's quarterback 1 to me. And the only reason why he said that is because Deion Sanders licks his ass. So I know he doesn't lick your ass. It's okay. But if he does, good luck on that, because Coach Prime is going to be coaching him no matter where he goes. Wherever Shedeur goes this coming season, he is going to fail this year. And then Coach Prime's going to leave Colorado and he's going to say, "I can coach my son. I'm going to go to the NFL and coach him." You know damn well that's going to happen. So, because everybody's going to attack this kid when he steps on a football field. Just saying.
If Shedeur Sanders really does have a cult following in New Orleans, maybe it's a bunch of Saints players trying to recruit him.
I can't stand him. Everything about him just makes me sick. There's only one quarterback that I don't like, and Speedy, you know who I'm talking about. He's over there with the Saints.
Yes, the current Saints quarterback,
yes,
soon to be replaced by the Saints. If there's people in New Orleans trying to get to him,
I don't like him.
Allegedly a Saint, maybe he's trying to get to the Saints.
Yeah. By the way, Nathan saw him at Radio Row and said, "Let me go get him. Let me go get him." I was like, "You do not want him to sit down with me and have a conversation." I think by the end of the conversation, I'll probably be choking him or him trying to choke me, and security will be here kicking us out. So I told Nathan, don't do that. If you want somebody to die here today, do not bring him to that football table. So I'm just saying. Go ahead, Speed.
All right, so I want to transition to these wide receivers that have been either signing with new teams or getting traded to new teams. DK Metcalf, you were talking about, Chris. Deebo Samuel went to Washington, and then the Rams swap. They swapped Devontae Adams for Cooper Kupp. Any fits you like? Any fits you don't like?
I like the Cooper Kupp to the Seahawks. I think that it's an easy way to get a veteran in there, right? I think Jackson Smith-Njigba has a lot he can learn from Cooper Kupp and that kind of style quarterback. I don't think there's a lot of pressure to win now for that team as well. So it's kind of a nice transition. I'll be honest, I don't love the DK Metcalf to the Steelers just because if they're really going after Aaron Rodgers, that is not the type of receiver that does well with an Aaron Rodgers. So don't like it there. Devontae Adams just hasn't really been the same guy, right? So if you're thinking he's that much of a step up over Cooper Kupp to go to the Rams, it doesn't really do it for me there. I don't know. Ray, do you have a better answer?
I don't like any of them. That's really my answer. I mean, I will say I give a bit of the benefit of the doubt to the Rams in the sense that they are pretty deep in the analytics game here. And so they're telling us something about Devontae Adams, perhaps, and telling us something else about Cooper Kupp. So I think that's a part of it. But that's me deferring.
Look at that picture. What is that? His high school prom?
That's actually my wedding day. Yeah. Jeez.
Oh,
look at how young I looked.
As long as she's using food wipes and taking care of my 2-hole, I'm good. So we've seen obviously the signings and that. Of what's left, who do you think will make the biggest impact to a team, and do you see it happening anytime soon?
So me flying off the handle, if you're left, like if you're still out there outside of a quarterback, which is the obvious one, Rodgers, not really. I really don't. I think if you were truly that impactful for a franchise, they wouldn't have waited around this long. I think you'd be snatched up somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's a really good running back class waiting for teams in the NFL draft. So there are a few running backs that I think are good football players that are still available. J.K. Dobbins had a good year this past year, right? And he's just kind of sitting at home right now. That's kind of a little bit crazy when you go to think about it, right? Like maybe he's not a $5 million a year guy, but I think he has a contract and he's got another year or two left of being solidly productive for a team. I was surprised that a team like the Cowboys didn't go after a player like that. But I do think like once the NFL draft's done, that's a player that I would think gets wrapped up pretty quickly.
As everybody knows, we are talking to the co-founders of All 22 Fantasy Football, Ray and Chris. They've been on a show. They do great things. And by the way, their fantasy game is one of the best in the business. You can actually play defensive players, set up a defensive squad, an offensive line squad. You build your own team. It is fantastic. The only problem with it, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to go through 55 rounds. 55 rounds. It takes like 4 hours to get it ready, especially when I was doing it with Fish and Speedy. I was like, when's this thing going to be over? We're 4 hours in.
We're the only three that.
We're 4 hours in. I'm tired.
I think, Ray, because Chris, I know you had your eye injury or whatever it was at the time, so you couldn't join the draft. But yeah, I think Ray, Fish, and the three of us were the only ones that stayed on the whole time.
We were on the whole time. I'm sitting there. It's like we started at like 7 o'clock and it's like 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, is this game almost over? Jesus Christ. This is the longest fantasy I've ever played. I mean, seriously.
There's people at home with 7 screens up on the wall. They have different spreadsheets on each one. They're watching film on another one. They're having a drink or two. These people are nuts, and I love every single one.
They sent us color-coded sheets. It's great. Yeah.
I'd probably drink a bottle by the time I'm done playing that game. Jesus. By the way.
I got 3 just for the show, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine having more.
By the way, boys, and I know you mentioned, Chris, Justin Fields. I love the move by the New York Jets, and I've been calling it for weeks before it even happened. I said, and a lot of people, Benton, one of our interns, he said, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. He's not going to the Jets. I believe the whole point was when Aaron Glenn got into position and he took over for this team, one of the main sources and one of the main conversations he had with ownership and obviously his new GM is that he wants to bring in a quarterback that is mobile. And why not bring one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league to the New York Jets, where you have 2 behemoths as running backs in Breece Hall and Allen on 2 sides. You have this kid, Dave, who looks like he's pretty damn good too. Your thoughts, both of your thoughts on this. I thought it was a slam dunk from the Jets. Hopefully Justin Fields develops. Maybe Aaron Glenn actually is a competent coach, because we all know Bambi wasn't. Your thoughts, by the way, I call Robert Saleh Bambi, just so you know. And there's a, deer in the headlights. You got it? You guys got that? Okay. Just wanted. I thought it went over your head. Sorry. Anyways, Ray, Chris, your thoughts to Justin Fields. I'm trying to have fun here, guys. I'm just trying to have.
I'll throw the bucket of cold water on it, and then Chris can make you feel better. To me, the heck is that? To me, Justin Fields is the type of quarterback where he's a great spark plug. You have your starter go down for a month or so. Fields can come in for about 3 to 4 weeks, kind of add a new element and that really energizes the offense for a bit. But then after that, it kind of gets stale. Teams catch up. The limitations that he has as far as just processing post snap really start to take hold, and the offense just gets limited over time. I think Aaron Glenn looked and said, who gave me a headache as an opponent? He's pretty familiar with Justin Fields, and I think that was a big part of it. And in that sense, great. But as a long-term starter, I just think there's inherent flaws in his game that prevent him from actually getting where you want to be.
Stop there. Now I'm angry. You brought it up, and now I'm angry. First of all, who has Justin Fields had as his head coaches? Please. And don't tell me Mike Tomlin, because nobody has developed over there with Mike Tomlin. Nobody. Ben Roethlisberger was a gift. He was a gift, a final gift over there for coach. So don't give me that. Mike Tomlin, yes, he has the winning record, and he goes to the playoffs every year, and he loses in the playoffs every single year. So tell me, is there a coach out there that you have seen this guy actually, and by the way, even his college coach at Ohio State is not a very good quarterback coach. So tell me, how do you know if Aaron Glenn can't coach this kid up and figure out what his problems have been over the last couple of years? I mean, seriously, we don't know what Aaron Glenn is as a head coach, but we heard Bill Parcells come out and say that he is not only the best coach for the job, he's one of the smartest guys he's ever coached. So to think about that and hearing that after Campbell doing what he has done over there with the Lions, and by the way, another Bill Parcells disciple, please explain to me why you don't think Justin Fields can't figure it out now.
Because he's never figured it out. And even in college, when he put up these big numbers, he was playing a Madden on rookie mode. I mean, he had 3 first-round NFL wide receivers behind the best offensive lines, and he was able to sit back there for 6 seconds and throw to streaking wide open receivers like a Garrett Wilson, which is cool. They have some chemistry. That's a good thing. But the processing has just never been there. It's what I said about Jackson Dart is Justin Fields times
How does your wife deal with you? Seriously. I got to meet this woman. I'm doing everything here. I'm throwing everything at you. And you're like, Justin Fields, he holds the ball too long, holds the ball behind the line of scrimmage for 6 seconds.
He does. It's the same thing, rest in peace and everything. But the same thing with the late Dwayne Haskins. You put up huge numbers at Ohio State, but that offense doesn't necessarily prep you well for the NFL. A lot of mesh and a lot of, again, you're just so uber talented at every position. The processing is not needed to succeed in that offense. And it just has never developed in Fields' game because he also never had to, because he was also one of the biggest and fastest players on the field at all times. And that was his easy button. And he's conditioned to that. And the NFL is not necessarily the place where you want to start learning how to play quarterback on the fly. It just doesn't really work out that way. That's why you see guys that otherwise look great in a helmet and pads and throw a pretty ball. It just never comes together. It's why the boat basically just sails away without you. Go ahead, Chris, make him feel better.
Well, first I want to just say that Ray's wife is tough as nails and whips that dude into shape every chance she gets. So you don't got to worry about, she's tough. Don't worry about that. The Justin Fields, right? This is a guy that, it's draft season right now. And when we're talking about player evaluation as a prospect, Justin Fields to me was clearly the quarterback 2 of that draft class. I think he went 4th, right behind like Trey Lance and some other guys, right? Like, and to me,
Zach Wilson,
right? He was clearly number 2 for me. I believe in the talent. I think his, we could talk about his athleticism, but even if you took that part of his game away, I think this guy has a very strong NFL arm. It's really just the decision making. But Errol, to your point, like, is this a guy that has ever had a coach that really helped him develop that? Also, look at the Jets. When was the last time the Jets made a smart decision like this at quarterback, right? It's always, let's go chase Aaron Rodgers. Let's go chase this high-end quarterback, Brett Favre, or we're going to go draft Zach Wilson or Mark Sanchez. I don't need to rub it in, but the list goes on and on of these guys that you guys chase. But
Christian Hackenberg, Browning Nagel. I've said it over and over and over again. Geno Smith, and then he developed somewhere else. You got Sam Darnold, he developed somewhere else. It happens to all the Jet quarterbacks. I'm sick. I can't watch this game anymore.
So it's your turn, right?
Look, I'm not even wearing a green Jets hat. I'm wearing like a brown one because
so
I'm
Chris-
so ashamed of it.
Chris, make your pick now. Where is Justin Fields going to be a star in 2 years?
No. Uno reverse card, right? The Bears are letting the guy go, and the Jets are going to develop him into a superstar. Come on.
After 50 years, it's going to be, this is going to work. Justin Fields after 50 years.
I know. I love you, Chris. That's what I'm talking about, Chris. Yes.
Let's go.
Fields. That's right. And we're going to we're going to turn our field into grass. Right, Speedy? You know all about grass.
Anything's better than the
If you
MetLife
don't-
Stadium turf.
If you don't have grass, you can't play ball. Right, Speedy?
Well, you can't play ball in the MetLife Stadium turf because everyone just gets hurt there.
It went over his head, boys. Went right over his head. It's a little lost.
Yes, it went over my head just like a Zach Wilson pass.
I don't even think he got it over your head. I think it just hit the floor.
No. See, that's only Christian Hackenberg. Christian Hackenberg is the one that throws the football at reporter.
Oh my God! And by the way, Zach Wilson might have a job before you know it, because he might actually get that job because somebody's not going to stay healthy enough to actually keep it. So you might see Zach Wilson actually develop somewhere else.
Can't wait for the 300-yard revenge game against the Jets. It's coming.
Oh my God, makes me sick. Actually,
Well,
just being a fan.
He's on the Dolphins, right? And I mean, Tua plays basically half a season every year. So we might see Zach Wilson in a Mike McDaniels offense, and that might work.
Yeah. Anywhere McDaniel goes, I'm a fan of the quarterback. So yeah, that's a good situation for anybody.
Look at him. Look at his
Get
smirk.
ready.
On his face.
Get ready.
Look at his smirk. Are you a Miami fan? Are
Oh,
you a Miami-
absolutely not. I'm not. Absolutely not.
He's a
But,
Cowboys fan, but I didn't want to rub it in this time because Nathan left the feed. So
Yeah, well. By the way, great moves by the Cowboys. Oh, it's suspenseful and beautiful. I'm absolutely loving it. They look like an absolute crash dummy organization. What are they thinking? I have no idea what this team is. They bring in Williams. What has he done over there with the Broncos? He's done nothing. He's been an absolute bust. They bring him there. You might as well go after Genti or something. Go get yourself actually a good, competent running back. No, you bring in Williams. Wonderful move. And then, by the way, you bring in a guy, an overrated pass rusher that had 10 sacks last year. You bring him in and you pay him. You overpay him. Wonderful move by the Cowboys, by the way. It's just fantastic. It's your team, man. They're just as bad as the Jets. I'm absolutely loving it. At least you actually have a competent quarterback. For all you Cowboy fans that can't stand him, he's actually competent. He's actually a good quarterback. Unfortunately, he's on a shitty team. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Ray, I have to mention this too. So the guy that was in our feed and our media in the private chat is a Cowboys fan as well.
Yeah.
He is actually the origin for our executive producer, Fish. His leash name in the All-22 League. That's who it's based on.
We gotta.
Nice.
We should all be using, like, wearing toothpicks like Jabba. Jabba has a toothpick in his mouth. You know, I mean, is that minty flavor toothpicks? Have you ever had those? You're muted. You're muted. It's okay, Jabba. It's okay.
No, you don't do the minty ones. My dad would be mad. My dad literally died with a toothpick in his mouth. So I've always had toothpicks.
I like the minty flavor ones. You know,
They're not bad. They're not bad.
You know what it is you can't put a toothpick in your mouth and have a mint candy. So you get the best.
You
of
can 100%. You just gotta know what you're
can,
doing.
unless you want to choke on it. I mean, seriously.
No, now the toothpick's gone. You don't know where it's at.
I mean, guys, Chris, where would you go? I mean, would you go with the minty flavor toothpick, or would you go with the regular toothpick with a mint in your mouth? Ray, you first.
Just a minty flavored toothpick.
Oh, there
tough.
you go. Okay,
Yeah.
we got something in common. That's one. All right, Chris.
I can't go against Jabba. Just plain toothpick, man. And wearing a cowboy boots and just playing with fire, right?
Like if we had a dynamite drop in from Fish talking about Razor Ramon, I was like, it made me want to do it and flick it out.
Hell yeah.
Well, by the way, James wants me to make a bet with Ray. Okay.
I saw that. I read that in the comments.
Wants me to make a bet with you. So let's make a bet. What do you want to bet? Let's make. I'll tell you what. When's your son due?
It's on the Justin Fields though, Ray. It's on the Justin.
It's on Justin Fields. Beginning of June, June 3rd.
Oh, we can't make the bet because it's almost here. You know, I was about to say if it's next year, if Justin Fields actually has a good season, you name your son after me.
Yeah, totally. Well, you know what? That's only slightly better than naming him after Justin Fields because he will never be named after anybody related to Ohio State University. So that's actually a slight step up from where I thought you were going.
So what do you want to?
Do you have names picked out?
Yeah, but I think I'd get in trouble if I say them out loud.
Yeah,
so,
we don't want to get you in trouble.
My son's in college, and I found his at a kiosk at a mall. So I was 19. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
That's great to tell your son. You know what? You know where I found your name? At a kiosk at a mall.
I literally was coming. I'll never forget. We parked. I was coming up the escalator, and it said Carter, young and handsome. I was like, bingo, got it. It was like $8. It's like the only thing I could afford. I was like, this is great.
Well, not anymore.
I wasn't getting NIL money back then. All right.
And then you stepped on a Yankees ball field, and then you made.
Well, then I got first round draft pick money, so it wasn't.
There
terrible.
you go. So you're in better shape than we are. That's for sure. I mean, right over here, Ray is on to number 2. That's pretty incredible. And Chris, are you on to 1 or 2 yet?
I have one, and I named him just because a boy, and I wanted to pick the most linebacker sounding name I could find, and I feel like there's no better linebacker name than Jack Lombardi. It just sounded right.
I love these guys. Speedy, you should get them on more. These guys are funny. But anyways, guys, we really appreciate the time. And we were supposed to have Ricky Williams on, and I said, Speedy, get me one of these guys. Get me somebody. I want somebody. I want to guess. He reached out to Ray, and then he, I guess, reached out to you, Chris, and you both
literally 20 seconds later.
and you both decided to come on, and we really appreciate that because Ricky is obviously taking care of some things, and we're looking forward to getting Ricky on the show. But it's been fantastic having you guys on. You guys are fantastic.
Yeah, we love you guys too, for real. And Joba, I'm a huge fan, dude. So
appreciate it, man.
Really cool being on with you.
Now I'm just old and crusty and watching my son play college baseball. So,
dude, that's a bigger achievement than anything, right?
It's weird. He's a pain in my ass. he's finally figuring out what college baseball. He's like, my arm hurts, Dad, and then the next day he'll be like, oh, it feels great, and I'm like, you're 8. Well, he'll be 19, literally here in what do we got? In about a month. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what pain is. Like, he'll get over it.
Just tell him to spin his armpit.
He don't know. He's learning. He's still a teenager. I got to give him a little credit.
Well, sometime I want to talk to you about Brian Cashman, and you could tell me if he really is the worst GM of all time. Like I think he is. Yeah. I saw a middle finger. Yes, I have proof, Ray.
Yeah, it's there. We'll find the recording of that.
We got to talk. We got to talk offline sometime, Job.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we can talk about it online. I don't care.
All right, hell yeah. So does
he's not paying. He's not paying my bills no more.
I just think he ruins everyone. He ruins every prospect.
No, he has pictures on somebody. He has to because I don't know how he still has a job.
Dude, I've been saying the same thing. I love hearing that. Love hearing that.
Yeah. There's so many stories I could tell you, and it's just I'm like. You should ask him something, and you're just like, you tell us one thing, you do another. And I'm just like, okay, well, what direction are we getting? Obviously, we've seen it. They haven't won. Like, I know it's hard, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy, but, you had a little lull, and you bring in this, that, and another thing, and haven't won again since 2009. So it's just like, doesn't there need to be change? Like, they see all these coaching changes, and you see, like, you can change a GM. We've seen it before.
Yeah, you have the most resources, maybe besides the Dodgers, of any team in baseball. And every year it's just, we did great. We made it to the playoffs again.
We got enough to get there.
But you're the wealthiest organization. You're spending the most money besides the Dodgers. You need to be doing better than this. And on top of that, anytime there's a prospect that shows a little bit of promise, he decides to move their position to an unnatural position, and then a year or two later they're kind of messed up, right? And they don't have their fundamentals anymore.
And we're seeing right now with Jason Dominguez trying to figure out the outfield, and you got it. I mean, it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. You've got an all-star MVP, Jose Altuve, that's trying to catch fly ball. It's not easy. I understand that part of it, but I'm just like, what? I just shake my head because it's the same shit every year. Same shit.
Same shit every
year. We get hurt, injuries. Obviously, what's happened already. and it's like, hey, let's go maybe get another pitcher. Like they say, Hill's not even. It's 3 months at least. I bet it's probably longer, to be honest. And so I'm like, and we're not doing anything. Trust me, I'm over here just shaking my head. I'm like, all right, something's gonna happen, or we're gonna finish 4th in the division, or the hell are we gonna do?
You make a comeback now that you got your beard and they changed their facial hair policy.
I know, right? Yeah. But is this groomed? I don't like. I love watching the games now because there's a group of older gentlemen that they all had like different types of beards, and their shirts said, "Is this well groomed?" It was great. I loved it. Like one had like a Fu Manchu, another one had like a beard. Like it was awesome. And so people are running with it, which it's great. Like I love it. Don't get me wrong. So it's fun seeing, and it'll be interesting to see. You've seen a few guys, obviously, get some beards and do all that. So, but at the end of the day, if you were winning and you obviously didn't have this, but you had a little 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock shadow, maybe they'd usually let it go and then you'd shave afterwards. It usually wasn't that big a deal.
Oh, boys. We'll get you on again. Don't you worry. And this time, Speedy will get you both on. Speedy, you get them both on. Do you understand that?
I was giving him a hard time. That was on me today. I was having dinner. I didn't answer him right away, but I
You were just
appreciate
too slow, Chris. I mean, don't be so slow next time.
I'll see you on the field, buddy.
Probably not. Probably not with what's coming up. So probably not. And Errol, guys, we do have we have an update coming to the app that'll impact our league. So you'll hear from me in the league. I almost let it slip right there, Chris. Did you catch that? But so you'll hear from us in another couple days or so on that. And we have something really cool being worked on for the draft as well. The NFL draft.
Is it going to take as long? My attention span's about of an 8-year-old.
We have something for you too coming out really soon. This is going to be the biggest thing that we've ever worked on. And,
we do too. By the way, I want to relay something to you guys. Speedy's actually going to be dressing in a bikini, and a wig, and a man's thong on this radio show.
Not even sort.
So after you
don't fall for false advertising.
We could do that for last place in the league this coming year. We could do something like that.
I'll do it for free.
Promises were just made.
I wasn't back. It was the first
That's what
team
I
out
heard.
on the tiebreaker, but I had more
Where
points.
did I end up?
You ended up in the playoffs with less points than me somehow.
My son's punishment was eating the world's hottest chip.
Oh,
his buddy was literally throwing up and shitting at the same time. It was unbelievable.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jabba. Making me sick again.
Well, we were talking about punishments.
That's a punishment just thinking about it. By the way, I don't like spicy stuff. And by the way, Goody has been attacking me ever since we came back from New Orleans because everybody was having spicy food and I would not eat any spicy food. I'm just not a spicy guy. I like spicy women. I just don't like, it's just
we don't know that. We don't know if that's for sure, though.
Oh, that's true.
Gary's still out on you.
Stop lying over there. By the way, guys, if you don't know Nick actually played in the league too. Played for the Yankees. Nick Goody. So, he's a little lost himself.
He didn't bring the toothpick.
He didn't bring the toothpick. And
no toothpick, but I got this full hat.
What do you have, like a blanket over there? What's going on over there?
Yeah.
Oh, look at it.
Cold. It's cold here in Florida, man.
It's
cold. You guys are soft in Florida.
That's very soft.
If it gets trust me, and
soft, but we're free, baby.
I've been guilty of this. It's like 50. They're in like parkas and like they think it's the end of the world. At 50, you got people out here in thongs and just running around everywhere.
That's what I'm talking about.
Chris, I know you guys are about to roll, but I was just checking out your app. That's pretty cool, man.
No, I appreciate
that.
It. Yeah. Thank you. We have another cool thing coming out soon, so we'll definitely get it out to all of you guys once we're ready to talk about it.
That's right.
Looks like Goody wants in on the league.
I could have used you guys, about 8 months ago.
Yeah. Reach out and we'll hook you up with to get you into one of these leagues.
99% of the world would too.
Or you could draft the end of Errol's draft.
I started off hot, but then ended just god awful.
It's crazy.
I didn't finish last, so I was good.
All right, boys, we love you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you
Christian
guys.
Ray, ladies and gentlemen, all 22 fantasy football, fantastic league. They're great guys, as you heard. They have great personalities. We never had them both on the show together, but I think they only were on a panel one time together.
Yes, they were on the panel. I think the first year we did the draft panel.
Yeah, we had a panel, and we had all the top fantasy people in the country on that panel. It was like 9 people.
Yeah, the first year was like an insane amount. It was 2022, I believe.
And and 5 of them are some of the biggest in the country. They got hundreds of thousands of people that follow them, and they come on the show and they have a lot of fun with us. And
it was great how their perspectives were like very different.
Yes, and they're very good friends, and they've been doing this a long, long time. They've been working with the NFL. They're one of the best at figuring out percentages and looking at things, watching, film, and kind of, they're like coaches. They see the game a completely different way.
Where are they
from? They're from different parts. Speedy, where are they from?
I think one of them is I forget offhand. I think one of them is from either Florida or Alabama.
And one of them's from Pennsylvania.
And one of them's and Ray's from Penn. Yeah, he went to Penn State.
Pennsylvania. So they
Yeah, I read Ray stuff that I wanted to give him some crappy Valley references, but he'd probably come back at me with some garbage Nebraska stuff.
Oh man, like, right, dude, that guy, and we fought offline about certain things. He knows his stuff. They both know their stuff, so I got to give him a lot of credit because they put a lot of work into their stuff, and a lot of people say they do. These guys actually really put time into their work. Speaking of time, for the second straight season, the Major League will begin the season with an international series this year in Tokyo. The Dodgers will be in a series game. The Dodgers will be in the series again. Last year facing the Padres in the South Korea, and this year facing the Cubs in Japan. The Dodgers will have 2 Japanese pitchers, Sasaki and Yamamoto, and the Cubs will have 1 in how do you spell? How do you Yamamoto?
Imanaga.
Yes, this will be all part of MLB's New World Tour concept, which will feature regular season games in a worldwide location. Rob Manfred, as you would say, Jabba, says that both Paris and Puerto Rico have been discussed as future locations for the World Tour games. There have been previous baseball series in London, Mexico City, and the Dominican Republic. Well, I think this is good for baseball. Obviously, there's 2 big Japanese pitchers, and Sasaki, who's going to play his first major league game in his home place in Japan. So that's a good sign, I guess, because now all the Japanese players and fans will get a chance to see their superstar pitcher. And Yamamoto, who was unbelievable last year in the major leagues when he had a chance to pitch after the health problems that he had in the beginning of the season, was sensational for the Dodgers. And we're going to see Ohtani this year. He will be on the mound too. So you're going to have 3 of the best Japanese pitchers in the world playing for one team. And the Cubs, I don't know much about this guy, Amanga, but nevertheless, what is it?
Imanaga went 15-3 with a 2.91.
All right. So Imanaga.
There's 5 total that are playing in this series.
Yeah. So I think the Japanese pitchers are coming. Obviously, we're seeing all of them starting to develop, and it's great for baseball because obviously Japan's one of the biggest world powers for baseball. They always win those World Baseball Classics. I mean, they're unbelievable. They play together for years, and you see all the great major league players. We've seen these top end major league teams that they've put together in the USA. They just don't have time to play with one another because they play for opposing teams all season long. These Japanese players have played with one another. Ohtani's played with Sasaki. He's played with Yamamoto. He's played with these guys. So I think it's fun to watch. And the Japanese fans are loud. They're crazy. You guys know it more than anybody, but they're loud and crazy. They're really into their baseball, and it's going to be fun to watch. I think this is great for baseball, and bringing it to Puerto Rico and having Puerto Rican games in Puerto Rico and Paris. I think that's going to obviously bring an all-world type of baseball classic that you're going to want to see year in and year out. And maybe in the future see a foreign professional baseball team. We've been talking about football, maybe hockey. I know the NHL has come out and said that they would love to bring a professional NHL team from Russia and put a team together in Russia because of all the Russian players in the KHL. I mean, we've been hearing this many, many times. Eventually it's going to bite. And once one organization bites, one of these professional teams bite, I think a lot of these organizations are going to bite as well. So I think this is great for baseball. It's a slam dunk home run, even though I think Rob Manfred's a complete asshole. I think it's perfect for baseball.
Yeah, it's definitely a step to really growing that too, because I think Japan, even though geographically it might be challenging when it comes to like being on the other side of the world, practically in comparison to like if they have a team in Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, where it'd be a lot easier to travel. Financially, it makes more sense for them to get those futuristic stadiums, to get the high salary or high luxury tax type team where they're not going to be just a cheap spending type team. I think it's the problem with a lot of these Caribbean countries where maybe they wouldn't have had a professional team by now if that was the case. But Japan makes a lot of sense, and baseball makes a lot of sense compared to other sports too, where they can cluster these longer road trips, right, for the Japanese players themselves, the Japan team, larger homestand comparatively too. With football, it's harder because you're not going to have like 3 games in a row on the road for that to be so much travel lag.
Do you think baseball will be the first organization to bring in a professional team foreignly? Do you think baseball?
Probably not. I think you're right.
The time difference is going to be too big of a, because you got to understand how hard it is for you to adjust to time.
Right.
And like
that's why I think Japan might be harder, but even though financially it makes the most sense.
It's interesting. I think it would be really fun to watch. And that brings a completely different look to professional baseball. I know there will be a football team. I guarantee you in the next 10 years, there will be a professional football team either in London or Germany. They're definitely going to put one in Canada, but I expect there to be a professional football team in either Germany or London in the next 10 years. I absolutely believe it. I do believe the Jaguars organization has come out and said that they would love to take the Jaguars over there to London and play London games all year round. I've heard their owner's foreign, so I could see them doing that. And I expect it to happen. And I don't think anybody's going to stop it, especially how much money the NFL and professional sports could bringing foreign teams to a professional sport here in the United States. So
I think you can do it with football so much easier than you can with baseball. And I understand, Speedy, what you're saying with like the extended, long road trips. But here, it's 2 days in, 2 days out, and your body still gets adjusted. You're not turning around and playing them. Like it's even hard adjusting from an East Coast to a West Coast. And Goody, you can speak on this too. Like, just you finally get used to a time zone, and then you get back. And I think it's great for the game. I've talked to a lot of guys that have played in the early season, and I've heard it's about 50-50. They like it because you're over there long enough to where you get adjusted. And then you come back here, and it's such a vast time change where your body just takes a little bit of time to adjust to get back, and you jump right back into playing. So there's really not much time. So that's why I really don't think it's going to happen in baseball like during the season. I think this will continue, and they'll grow, and then they have the series like after the season when they go and play like the All-Star game or whatever you want to call it against other teams. And then you're obviously going to have the World Baseball Classic where, you get there and then you obviously go and have that and represent your country. So I love it for what it is. I get to wake up at 5 o'clock and watch baseball. It's fantastic. I'm usually getting up to pee at that time anyway. So now I get something to watch, but I think it's great. I think it shows obviously the competitiveness that we've seen. And Errol, you said it's like you watch the World Baseball Classic and you see all these guys, and I've had the fortunate pleasure to play with some amazing guys all over, but some amazing Japanese, Taiwanese players. And so it's cool to see in how amazing their culture is and how much they love the game of baseball. It's absolutely nuts. So it's cool to see some of the names that are going to be over there playing and having the opportunity to, showcase baseball as a whole to, and they've done a really good job. They have the Baseball International now and growing, and now there's we got our first ever. We've had them before, but our first ever women's, all-star team and stuff like that. So it's been growing. It's just I think these are going to be more of the lack of a better term, like the one-off, not like a season type thing to where you can showcase it for a few days. But the travel is just that I just don't know how they could ever figure that out to be like a regular season bring in type team, because it's going to be a series. So you're going to have to get there early. And then it's just the breakdown of travel, I think, just makes it a little bit more difficult than other sports. But I love seeing these things. It's fantastic. And to be able to, go represent and play in, some of these places, they're playing at home. And, it's really cool. The Japanese baseball culture is awesome. If you've never experienced it, it is something like you've never experienced before. So it's super cool that they're having it there.
With a secret car.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it in the head, dude. That's why whenever you travel from east to west coast, you usually have a off day sandwiched in between there, just so your body gets acclimated. But as far as the series goes, I think it's going to be awesome. Like you said, I mean, you're showcasing two of the best Japanese arms in Major League Baseball, and they're playing for two storied franchises. So, it's everything you could want. So, Japanese fans, I hope you enjoy the product that is MLB baseball, and I hope the guys that are over there, Mookie Betts is going to be out, so we'll see how that factors into the outcome. But I hope those guys get a better understanding of the Japanese culture and why they do certain things that they do. So I think overall it's great for baseball, and I'm excited. We're getting to go.
I think it's great for baseball. I think that's the one thing I would say Robin Bamford has actually done right, is actually put baseball in different countries and let like professional baseball be reevaluated, but for everybody to see what the game is all about here in the major leagues and in the United States. I think the best baseball in the world is played here in the MLB. And that's why all these Japanese players and Dominican Republican players and Venezuela and all these other places, Paris, France, they all come here because they want to play in the major leagues against the best pitchers, the best players in the world. So it definitely changes the outlook to what baseball is trying to do and bring it internationally. And I think the NFL has done a great job. The NHL has done a great job with it. And then the NBA, which is one of the biggest international sports in all of the world. Look at what Michael Jordan has done, and now what LeBron James has brought to the basketball world. And that had a lot to do with what Michael Jordan and the Dream Team did. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan and the Dream Team and what they did in '92, I don't know if international sports would be as big as it is today. And I'm telling you that right now. I give a lot of credit to the Dream Team and what the United States did, bringing all their best players to the national stage. So, but
I think it's a sport that you touched on that doesn't get enough credit is hockey.
Yes.
Tennis.
Say that again. Hockey.
Hell, I think tennis is another one. I think some of these not like mainstream. Haktui. Oh, is she still even around? She like disappeared.
She's making $50,000 a night showing her face at these venues. 50,000. Just saying a Tic-Tac-No crap. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable how much money she's making. It's crazy.
Yeah, but didn't she lose a bunch of money from a
coin? I'm reading
like a meme. Yeah, whatever it was.
Meme coin or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, she's not worth our conversation. But yeah, those sports. I think that obviously the mainstream ones. I think there is so many other sports, and you look at golf, you look at hockey, you look at tennis, and I think a lot of those have they've been so, I guess, instrumental in like I think helping these mainstream sports because they see, when it's like golf does the President's Cup and the Ryder's Cup, and you see how important that is and how much it means to these guys. And I think without them admitting it, but some of those, and I'm not saying they're lower tier sports because they're not. I mean, you have to be amazing athletes to be it. They're just not as mainstream as some of them. But I think they deserve more credit for some of this international stuff because they've seen how important it is in certain aspects, and every other sport has kind of followed suit in some way, shape, or form. There has been some people that have kind of led the way, and there's been some other institutions that have kind of done it. So they deserve as much credit, if not more, than they actually have been getting, just because they're not the mainstream sport.
I agree with you. I believe the same way. I think that baseball is definitely the international sport that really started, all these transitional players that come from different parts of the world. I remember when Mariano Rivera came to the league, and he was an outfielder. That's what I was reading about him when I was a kid. He was a really good outfielder, and the Yankees decided to put him on the mound, and the guy was throwing he learned how to throw the split finger by Andy Pettit, and the guy was untouchable. The cut fastball. I'm sorry, it was the cut fastball, and you couldn't touch him. So I mean, it's incredible how these international players come here and really dominate the sports world, and we're seeing it in basketball now. Luka Doncic, Jokic. These guys are the two best players in the world. Shai Alexander, whatever way you want to call his name. Giannis. All of these guys have transformed the game in the leagues for the better. So I think it's great for sports. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we call this segment Goody's Bag of Balls.
My mom was going to wire a car battery on my testicles.
Trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.
Goody's Bag of Balls.
That's how you become great, man. Hang your balls out there.
Not yanking on his head, man.
Goodness. Well, speaking of baseball and starting pitching, the Yankees have to decide who their fifth spot in the rotation is. Will it be the veteran Carlos Carrasco, or will it be Will Warren, a young buck? Carlos Carrasco's numbers last year, 2.45, or excuse me, in spring training right now, he's got a 2.45 ERA with 6 hits and 11 innings, 12 Ks, and 6 walks, versus Will Warren's 2.87 ERA, 9 hits, 13 walks, 16 Ks, and 15 2/3 innings. If you're Brian Cashman, your favorite GM, Roy's favorite GM, who are you going with? You going with the veteran and Carlos Carrasco? No moment's too big for him. We've seen him. He's pitched in the postseason. Yes, he's overcome some health issues and leukemia. He's pitched in New York already as it is. He also has a March 22nd opt-out, which I think will be the game changer. And then we have Will Warren, who last year pitched 22 2/3 innings in the 2024 season, and actually in his whole career, with 33 hits, 5 home runs, 10 walks, 29 strikeouts, and the batters are hitting 340 off of him.
Well, it's pretty obvious what the Yankees are going to do.
Who are you going with?
They're going to go with Warren because that's what Cashman does.
No chance.
He's going to do that.
I bet not. This was a layup for you, and you freaking whiffed it.
I would go with Carrasco. I would.
Carrasco, and you go.
I would go with Carrasco, but I'm telling you, he's going to go with the young kid. I'm telling you, that's where he's going. He's going to go with the young kid that he believes is going to develop in his rotation, which has never happened or hasn't happened for a very, very long time. I mean, he's a sensational pitcher, but remember, he didn't come from the Yankees farm system. The Yankees actually traded for him years and years.
He has 6-5 with a 5.91 in AAA.
I know.
He has stuff to prove in AAA. He got called up last year, pitched 22 innings, gave up 33 hits. His strikeout numbers were good. He walked too many guys, and guys were hitting 340 off him. We got a lot to prove. Bro.
I would say you're right.
Look, I like it. If I'm in his shoes, hell yeah, I want to be there.
I wish you were asking me this question like on the 21st, so we can see if Cookie's still going to throw. And Cookie is near and dear to my heart. One of the best teammates I've ever had.
Hey, he's awesome.
But that's a big. And when I read that, and it was that early, I think he kind of knew there was going to be some younger guys that he was going to be like, okay, because it's early enough to where he still has a chance to latch on again. And that's why he did it that early.
But here's my thing, dude. the Yankees have nothing to lose. They just option Will Warren down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't lose anything. He'll be out an option anyways, so it doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why the going with Will Warren is. I mean, listen, like I said, younger guy. If I'm him, I'm loving it. If I'm the GM, I'm like, I got nothing to lose. Take Cookie. Let's roll. Will Warren can go get polished up.
Then he gets polished in AAA, and then boom, you bring him up, and if Cookie, you just release him, and he's gone.
We'll see how done anyways. Yeah, 100%. Although he told me last year he wanted to pitch till he's 40. So,
well, no, I'm saying done with the team anyways because he's out options anyway, so he can go sign with whoever.
Correct.
And they're not going to be crazy about giving him 2 salaries. Like, doesn't matter.
No, I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out because see how our minds think versus Errol going with Will Warren. First
of all, I would go with Carrasco. But I'm telling you, they're going to go with Warren because he's part of their farm system, and that's what Brian Cashman does. He does it all the time. He's going to go with Will Warren. I'm telling you.
Right.
What?
Well, then Speedy, who's your choice real quick before we move on?
I would start the season with Carrasco. I'm worried about his velocity.
We'll see. We don't know what Cashman's going to do, but right now it's 4-1.
4-1.
His fastball velocity.
I'm telling you what Cashman's going to do.
Goody, I will mention.
I didn't tell you what I was going to do. I'm telling you what Cashman's going to do.
All right.
Goody, as last year with the Mets, his velocity for his fastball dipped under 90 a lot. That does concern me, but I think it's good to ease him in a little more. Start the season with Carrasco.
Perfect. All right. That's why, I mean, yeah, the fastball is, but he's also getting older, but he still knows how to pitch. So, and I've seen him 89 to like 97. So it's like you never know which Carrasco. That was a kind of a running theme in the bullpen. We never knew which Carrasco we were gonna get. Although
he's sneaky big too, by the way.
He is. Although we didn't know he had leukemia at the time. So it was like, is this what's going on? Are we gonna get the 92 to 96 Carrasco, or are we gonna get the 89 to 91 Carrasco? We don't know. Usually by like the second inning we knew. But regardless, I mean he still pitches his ass off, so we'll see. Shifting over to the AL East, the Boston Red Sox. Did you guys read Devers came out and said that he's ready to help the team win no matter what?
He's a liar.
Even at DH.
He's a liar.
He said third base is my position. It was what I played. I don't know what their plans are. That's what he said. And then he didn't give up anything about what they said in the meeting, other than he said, at the end of the day, it's not my decision. I don't call the shots around here. Dude,
somebody talked to him.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody
talked to him. They're like, hey, you have to show face, like, because it made him look terrible when Greggy came on, and he was like, whatever I need to do, like, you know what, I'm here to win. And like he didn't throw Devers under the bus. He's like, I talked to JC, and I was like, hey, whatever you guys need me to do. And so then it kind of like it made, so whoever was in his camp, or whether it was Breslow, Craig, whether it was somebody else, or Cora was just like, hey, you know what, you need to, before all this gets out, you need to
get in front of it.
Just say something and get in front of it. So it's not like, oh, here's a big middle finger to Bregman for coming in and basically saying exactly what he wanted to. And he said it the right way, and he knows the game. Like, he's been around enough. So it was somebody in his camp or somebody in the front office that are like, hey, you have to.
I believe it's the front office that told him.
Yeah, you have to touch on it for sure. Like, you have to mention it.
Well, it's just because it's been a storyline all spring training. So, of course, he has to come out and he has to say something about it. Now, whether or not that's actually how he feels, we don't really know, but it's what he's getting.
Once they start losing, you're going to hear a lot of things coming out of that dugout.
I'm sure. I don't want that to be true, but unfortunately, you're probably right. I would side with you on this one.
I think it's. I don't think it's good news for the Red Sox. All you're hearing right now is crickets, because right now Devers is sitting back and he has to be the nice guy. He's got to say what he wants. They want him to say, but when things start to go wrong,
I know what you wanted to say. You said he's not going to say what he wants to say. I
Yes,
know that's what you wanted to say.
You're going to say it soon. Trust me. When things start to hit the fan, and when
Would
they
you rather
start-
have Devers or Bregman start third base?
Honestly, I'm taking
Yes.
Devers. I'm taking Devers.
What was around? Give me like real quick. What was around Bregman's fielding percentage last year? Speedy, can you pull that up?
What do I think? I think
The
it
raw
was better.
fielding percentage?
I think he was better than Devers defensively last year.
Yeah,
But not
Devers
much.
was at 960 fielding percentage. So what if to me, I think Bregman is probably the better 972. Yeah. To me, Bregman I thought would be the better defensive third baseman. So
But who would you want? Would you want Devers or Bregman all around?
I would want I mean all around as an all around player.
That's all around
Or
play.
just defensively. Because defensively I'm taking Bregman all day.
No question. But who would
Goody,
you
here's
pick?
the other argument too, because you got to remember Marcelo Meyer. There's no guarantee he's going to be up right away too. You want to rush him up to play shortstop, or just move Bregman there to start, and then maybe shift him later.
If you do that to Devers, that he's going to lose confidence and it's going to cause problems anyways. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a problem. If they don't win, if they're not winning, there's going to be a problem in that locker room. I guarantee it. And Devers going to ask for his trade.
You just have to figure out what you just. I mean, Myers is
You guys
nasty.
know, you guys
He's
are
wrong.
professional athletes. When
He
you're
was
not
wrong.
winning,
I mean, their comparison is very close. Obviously, Devers got started a little bit younger, but years wise, they're very, very similar. And their numbers are not they're not as vast differently as you would think they are. Like they're both career 270 hitters. They both have 200. Well, Devers has 200. Bregman has 191 with the down year. It's pretty crazy. Their numbers.
Just one's
in
lefty,
comparison.
one's righty, and then
Yep.
one's a slightly better fielder than the other one, and maybe one has a little more power. It's really about what you want.
Yeah,
I
and
think
the one thing you're
think
going to
Bregman's
think
more
that's
versatile.
age too is going to come play a factor because
Devers is how old? 25.
he'll be 20. He'll be 28, and
28.
Bregman will be 31.
I mean,
It's not
Yeah.
that big of a difference, but
no, but if you're looking at for long term, you're probably taking Devers. But right now, I would go.
I'm taking Devers.
I mean, yes, they're going to, and especially they're going to take him more anyways because of the money they've invested in him too.
Correct.
He's lefty and extremely durable. So.
Yeah, and he absolutely owned Chapman. Devers did.
And he also owns Cole too. So let's move on.
Well, we don't have to worry about that.
No,
Yeah.
this year.
All right, last thing on the
Thanks,
list.
John. Make-
Most
them-
professional athletes are, I wouldn't say you're not required to answer to the media, but it's kind of like it's an unwritten rule. Like good game, bad game. Even if you don't even play in the game in the media, you're supposed to be by your locker or whatever to answer to the media. Well, Colin Morikawa, I don't know if you caught this last week. He kind of caught some shade throughout the week. He was quoted as saying, "I don't owe anything to anybody." After basically losing to Arnold Palmer, I don't owe anything to anybody. And then just recently he said, "I don't regret anything I said." It hurts to hear people say that. And they went on to say how he signed for 10 to 15 minutes after the Arnold Palmer, and how, basically like, I didn't want to be in Orlando. If you would have came with me at an hour later, I would have answered all your questions. But an hour after that, I was on a plane getting out of there to be here, and I don't owe anything to anybody. As a fan, my take on it is you need to answer the media every time. Win, lose, or draw. You're just an athlete. These people have a story to tell, much like we're talking about it right now. They have a job to do and a story to tell. Yes, you don't owe anything to anybody. You don't technically have to be there, but for one, it looks bad, and two, like people want to hear what you have to say. They want to see the raw emotion, because let's be honest, none of us here are breaking a 72. We all say the same shit after shitty outings. So
I don't play golf, so I don't have any shitty outings. But
well, if you did, you would feel it.
I will say this. I will say this, and I would go your route on what you're saying, but you got to look at it in his way. right now he didn't play well. Obviously, he's
Played fine.
I'm just saying, in a golf world, he didn't. 72, is that really that good? Is it?
No, bro.
It,
He came in second place, but he was leading the weekend. So he was leading, and then up in the
So-
last day, he fell to
so-
second place with the. I think he was 10 under. It's pretty good.
all right. So all right. Nevertheless, a golf is a one-man sport. You're not playing with a team. You don't have to speak for the team. You have to speak for yourself. And if you don't want to speak to the press, you shouldn't have to speak to the press. Now, the press will obviously put you down and throw you to the wolves if you're not going to speak to them. They're going to just nitpick everything if you're not going to speak. But if you know that's going to happen anyways, and you don't care, why should you have to speak to them? Tiger for years didn't speak in certain aspects. Remember with the whole porno thing and screwing around behind his wife. Every time he went up there and talked to the press, he said minimum questions. He really didn't want to answer any questions because he knew what was going to come out of their mouths. So he didn't really want to speak to them. Phil Mickelson, I heard Phil Mickelson's a big dick. You know, there were many times that Phil Mickelson didn't want to speak to the press, and he didn't. He decided not to show up to the press. Did he get killed after that? Yeah, he did. But that's what you're going to have to deal with. If you don't speak, the press is going to talk. That's just the way the world works. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you got to find a way out of that.
I will kind of take a different angle on this.
Mhm.
And you kind of touched on it, but it's like in football, you're only required to talk to the media twice during that week. Baseball, it's kind of like, hey, we're going to do a story on you, or hey, like you're kind of available at all times, really. And the one thing I learned very, very fast growing up in the way I did and learning from the people I did, it's called the power of the pin. You take that away. You don't let them have that. Because if I say I suck, that's different than you saying, oh, he stood us up and he sucked today and blah, blah, blah. But it's different coming from me. I literally had my son ran in after a start. I sucked. And they were all around me. And he goes, Dad, you couldn't throw your fastball for a strike. I looked at him. I go, there's your article. Like, I got nothing to tell you guys. Like, that is literally what I was going to say. So if you take away the power of the pin for them and it comes for you, it changes the whole dynamic of what that interview or what that article feels like to the reader. If it's Errol Marks said this, or hey, we tried to interview him and he went 2 innings and gave up 7. Like, it's just completely different. So when you take the power and like, if I say I suck, you can't say anything worse. I use literally one of the most favorite quotes ever from the man himself saying he was doing 8-gram rocks with hookers. And Charlie Sheen, you can't say anything worse.
I just told you in the beginning of the show that I was getting hot flashes. I mean,
right. So it's like you can't say anything. So you take away.
You disarm
and it's
them.
like,
You
and
disarm
you don't, and you don't. Oh, like we don't have a job description per se. Like, so I understand where he's coming from, but still, it's like, hey, I blew it. I sucked. I knew I sucked. So hear it from me. It makes you feel more valid to the reader that they're reading that story, because the fan will be like, oh, he was just like, you know what? I stunk today. And they're like, you know what? I feel that, because that's how I felt the other day when I shot 102 or something. Just where it becomes more real to you. It becomes more real.
Yes, absolutely. And then Owen chimed in on the chat and said the tourney that Arnold Palmer is different because it's for Arnold Palmer, and he said Arnold Palmer would have been pissed that was quote a shit ass way to go, and I hope he sucks all year. So I we'll see what happens. But to me, be there, answer it, do good, do bad, answer the call. That's how we were always taught, at least in Yankee land. So
yeah,
and you disarm them. So
all right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Goody's bag of balls for the week. Goody's going to stay on with us. We got a couple of big segments, and It's crazy. I would agree with a lot of things that everybody has said, but again, having hot flashes is just as bad as anything. So I'll just tell you that. The National, how would I know? The National League Central projected to win totals were released, with the Cubs being projected champions, followed by the Brewers, Reds, Pirates, and Cardinals. The Cardinals are projected to win a total of 76.5. They lost Paul Goldschmidt to the Yankees and didn't sign or trade for any single player this offseason. The Pirates projected to win a total of 76.5. They reunited with a couple of former Pirates, former batting champion Adam Frazier and a longtime outfielder Andrew McCutcheons. The Reds projected to win total is 78.5. They spent the fourth lowest amount of money this offseason, but brought in Terry Francona as their new manager. The Brewers projected to win about 85.5. They lost several key pieces in the offseason, including how do you pronounce this, Speedy? Thomas and the Giants, and to the Giants, and Devin Williams to the Yankees. The Cubs are projected to win about 85.5, despite losing Cody Bellinger to the Yankees. They made 9 offseason moves, including all-star reliever Ryan Presley and all-star outfielder Kyle. Yeah. Well, I expect the Cubs to be the number 1 team in this division. I think, obviously, they have the highest-priced manager in all of baseball over there, and hopefully he figures it. I'm sorry?
Second highest.
Who's first?
David Robertson.
His extension.
Yeah, Dave Robertson's now the highest paid.
Robertson,
But
right
it's
now.
deferred money.
Yeah, it's deferred money, so that doesn't count. I mean, honestly, obviously, the Cubs are projected to be the better team in the division. This is probably the weakest division in all of baseball. People would argue that, and the American League Central, which is also very, very weak. But I think, obviously, the Reds, I know what Goody's going to say. He likes the Reds this year. He thinks that they can win more than 78 games. So they could be a playoff team. I question that, because even though Terry Francona knows how to get the best out of the players, because Joba knows, because he's been over there with Francona, and so is Goody. He knows Francona very, very well. He's a very good manager. I still question how he's going to put this together and get this team to play for him in the first year. I think next year, I think the Reds are going to be a really, really good team in a division that's definitely open for them to win. The Brewers are a very, very interesting team. They always find a way to win. They find players in their farm system. They can lose players here, and they bring in these players usually in the offseason, and they find a way to develop them for some damn reason. Losing Devin Williams is a big loss. Williams was one of the best relief pitchers in baseball last year. He didn't pitch very well in the playoffs when he played the Mets, but all in all, he was a very good pitcher for them all season long last year when he took over. But the Pirates are interesting. I think they have 2 of the best young studs on the map. I think they're just as good. Skeens is, to me, probably going to be the best pitcher in baseball this year. He's probably going to win a Cy Young this year. I expect him to be as dominant. I know, obviously, there's somebody over there in Bravesland in Atlanta that I know our friend Fish loves very, very much. But I do believe that Skeens he's the best pitcher in baseball, at least the best young pitcher in the National League. And I expect him to play very, very well for a team that is definitely going to do better than 76.5. I expect him to win about 80 games this year. I think this is the season that I think they're going to get over the hump. I don't know how good they're going to be offensively. Only time will tell, and we'll see how, obviously, Roberts plays this year. Brian Roberts is getting up there in age, isn't he? How old is Roberts?
Got to be 29 at least.
I think he's older than that. I think he's in his 30s, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, obviously, they have some guys that they're going to bring up. I like the Pirates. Yeah, so I think the Pirates are a team that I think are going to be better. The Cardinals are going to be really bad this year. They're going to be really bad. I'm not saying because they lost Paul Goldschmidt. He's an old man. He's 37, 38. I don't think that's going to make a difference. You do lose leadership over there, so that might hurt them. But They have a very good farm system, but they haven't really brought up anybody that really stands out over the last couple of years. And that's something that the Cardinals have always been good at, is finding guys in their farm system. But the Cardinals are going to be the worst team in the division. I don't think that's an argument. The teams that you can argue that could win the division, I know Goody likes the Reds. I think it's either the Cubs or the Brewers. I just like what the Cubs have done. Kyle Tucker, he's only there for 1 year. He's going to be looking for a big time contract at the end of the season. I know the Yankees are going to be running and gunning for him. I know the Red Sox are going to be running and gunning for him next year. He's one of the better, more underrated outfielders in all of baseball. Go look at his numbers. He's a great defender. He's going to make himself a lot of money if he has a great year in a division that's so very bad. So I think the Cubs are better than 84.5. As a matter of fact, I think the Cubs have one of the better records in the National League this year. I don't know if they hit 90, but you can argue it's about 90, 91. But I'm just saying it's much better than an 84.5.
Yeah, I don't think any of these teams really are going to hit 90 because they still have their flaws. The Reds have the most upside when it comes to their young talent, but I think a lot of what hurt them last year was their pitching. A lot of them went down. We were talking about the Diamondbacks last week, having the bad injury luck with the starting pitching. The Cincinnati definitely had a lot of those guys hurt as well, with Hunter Green, with Ashcraft getting hurt. They had a lot of different relievers as well that went down. And they just need a little more lineup depth. They get Matt McClain back healthy. The Brewers are, like Errol was saying, a good factory. We thought they were going to drop off last year and struggle, and they still won 91 games and almost won a playoff series against the Mets that they probably should have won. So they're definitely good prospect development. I agree with you on the Cardinals. Like, they're kind of like you guys were arguing about the Brian Cashman with the Yankees, how they've mishandled prospects. Jordan Walker was a top prospect. Jordan Hicks was a top prospect. All these guys that are not being developed properly. And we joke about it all the time. How many star outfielders get traded to
How
other
many
places?
wins do you have the Reds winning this year?
How many do I have? Probably in the 85 range. I
What?
think if they stay healthy. Yeah.
85? Get out of here.
I
No
think
way.
so. I think so.
No way.
I think they have good upside. I think they have a little better depth overall throughout the organization than the Pirates do right now. I think the Pirates are still trying to work in a lot of those young players. The Cubs, I'm with you. I think if they could get their bullpen going even to league average, they should win the division. Like,
No fish. He's got the Reds winning 85 games.
I think the Cubs should be the best team. I think the bullpen was just so bad for them last year, and that's Craig Counsell. Some of it to do with it, but also the organization is just not developing pitching very well. I think the Reds and the Brewers are kind of fighting for wild card teams, and I think the Pirates, if they can get a little more lineup depth and pitching depth, I think they could be right up there too. But
I think you're on drugs, and I think Fish is on drugs, saying 88. There is no way they're winning 88. There's no way they're winning over 80. I don't see it. Not this year. Next year. It's going to take a little while for Francona to come in and get these guys developed. And they have to stay healthy, which the Reds never stay healthy. So what makes that change by bringing a manager in? I mean, they got to stay 100% healthy. And I don't know if Francona is going to be able to keep them healthy no matter what. So I disagree. And by the way, the Cubs are far and along the best team in this division. It's not even an argument. But whatever. Go ahead. Go to your
Yeah, I don't.
Sorry, Jabba.
No, yeah, I don't. 88 is
a lot.
It is. But they're so young, and I think Ellie De La Cruz is one of the most fun players to watch, and you can kind of build around him. Hunter Green, we've obviously flashes of it. We haven't even seen Rhett Lauder, and Rhett Lauder was nasty in college, and he's had some injuries, and that's just kind of what it is. But then, that they got some young guys too that had flashes. They got Brady Singer from the Royals, where he had flashes of really, really good things. They just got a veteran lefty in Taylor Rogers. And so they got Trevino from freaking New York. So, like, they've got things in line to be able to be 88 might be pushing it, but I'll give them 85.
That's a lot.
Because Tito's going to manage those personalities to do some things that are going to be like, yeah, this is because he wouldn't have came back if he didn't know that was going to be a chance to obviously compete in this division. We've obviously seen what the Brewers have done, and they always find a way and do that. And the Pirates are one too. Like if you figure out like their back end, like David Bednar was an all-star 2-3 years ago. if you can get a back end guy like him, like when he was an all-star, and fill in some of them holes, and that pitching staff, and obviously it's the stupidest thing that we all say on every stupid show that we listen to or do. It's like, you got to stay healthy. Well, no, duh. Like we get that, but it's just putting those pieces together and, getting the IKFs to stay healthy, to get the Key Brian Hayeses to contribute and step his
One of the
game
players
up.
actually paid.
I don't even think Tito comes back unless it was the Reds. I think he grew up a big Red Machine fan. I think if I'm not mistaken, I read something about that, and that he always wanted to manage the Reds. And
Yeah, but he's not going to manage to take some bum ass team that's going to lose 105 games. Like that's just not who he is.
It's not fun. It's not fun. Nobody wants to sit there and lose all year.
No, he's
coming back to
He's been
win.
around way too long to be like, oh, I just wanted to coach the Reds. We're going to lose 100 games, and I'm going to go over here and just put my troubles in.
Why did he leave Cleveland then?
Because his health at that point, and then he got it figured out.
Yeah.
You always had to watch out for his landmines, though. Those things would get you.
Yeah. Chewed a lot, but no, it was his health. His health was what was deteriorating there. He had heart issues.
Yeah,
landmines where he's chewing up his tobacco and his gum, and he would take
his
it
gum,
throw
and
it,
then
just
he
throw
would
it
rotate them and just throw them, and they'd just be landmines everywhere.
all over. But
Really?
that was the reason why he left Cleveland. I asked him about it, and that's what he told me. And then he said he got bored playing golf home. And obviously
another one that I think O'Neal Cruz, I think, could be a dude too.
He already
He
is.
showed flashes from the Pirates.
Yeah, he's a stud.
I think there's gonna be the Central is such a weird like division because you don't expect the Brewers to do it, and they've done it every year. I think they've
We're also
won
going to get Woodruff back. Is going to come back for the Brewers.
Right,
He's back on the mound, so
100%.
that adds another bump in your rotation.
And so it's just I think there'll be some surprises, maybe not as much, and we saw it as we haven't covered the AL Central yet. Joey Gallo is going to be a pitcher now. So yeah, it's
in reverse.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, Fish. Fish. Great point. It's like it was weird. Like, I mean, he was a 6'7", a big dude. Like,
Yeah, he threw Thunder in high school as well.
Yeah.
He came to LSU as a recruit as a two-way. I think he was like 94, 95 off the mound. Probably maybe can run up, and then obviously his power. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you're seeing that more and more now. Tyler Naquin, now Joey Gallo, and Brett Phillips last year, who signed with the Yankees. So
he was a two-way prospect. I thought Brett Phillips. I thought Tampa was trying him as that, but then he did.
Did they?
Remember
never
Anthony Ghost? He did.
Anthony Ghost is another one. Yeah, he's actually trains down here. I just found out recently, but
ooh, he's a strange cat, dog.
I know. Woo. Great dude though, really nice dude, but
great dude.
Listen, Owen. He doesn't joke baseball, but for some reason he wants to just throw something out there. The Cubs will choke.
Cubs will choke.
I mean, they did.
This guy never wants to speak about baseball at all. He doesn't even want to be involved in the conversation. But of course, because I said the Cubs, he says they're going to choke. Thank you, Owen.
Listen, I think the Cubs are a really good team. I think the additions of Presley and Kyle Tucker really boost their roster. I think
and Presley's going to have a bounce back year. Like
he's good. He's going to be good. And you're playing in the NL Central, which I think is probably a little easier of a division. I don't want to say I say that with a grain of salt because pitching anywhere is not easy per se, but versus the AL West with boppers with Texas and with some of the prospects they had in Oakland as well.
That's the team to watch this year in the American League is Texas.
They're going to be really good.
They're going to be really good.
They're going to be good, but I think he comes back obviously, and then like I said, Kyle Tucker, and now we got Imanaga back for his sophomore season, so we'll see how that goes, and hopefully.
How about Suzuki? I'm sorry.
Saya? Yeah, he's the real deal. That's for sure.
Suzuki.
I thought you were talking about Ichiro for a minute. I'm like, man, dog, he's in the Hall of Fame. Saya Suzuki, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right,
see.
ladies
We'll
and
see how it
gentlemen, we've got Save Your Tears recap.
Mom, what's one thing that you can't talk to me about?
My sexual fantasy. Player, sorry.
It is not ideal, but if it's what means, it is not ideal, but if it is not ideal, but if it is what means. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Lloyd, you guys, enough.
It's time for Save Your Tears.
All right, guys, welcome back to Save Your Tears, everybody's favorite tier-based fantasy contest. We're going to recap the battle from last week where we had guys from the Warriors, from the Grizzlies. It looks like we had the Bulls, and who's the last team, Speedy? I'm forgetting right here that we had on
Pelicans,
here.
I think Pelicans.
And yes, that's right. And then because there's Zion Williamson, New Orleans Pelicans. It was a hard-fought battle. There were really close matches to be had. But the big reveal, everybody, for today, I get a drum roll, please. Yes, it is me. Wow. I am the winner for the first time with 304.5 points. Yes, it was a murderer's row. Minimum score was 39.9, which is pretty excellent for this game, if I say so for myself, with Brandon Clark. Moses Moody was one of the best picks. Both Speedy and I, and Speedy did come in second. We just had different
backcourts. That was our
we switched our backcourt. That was the only difference. But unfortunately, Speedy was wrong and came in second. In third place was Errol, still keeping up with his FedEx Cup standings over there. To make a point, he's probably the leader of that, I guess, this game. And then we had a couple of unfortunate events. Zion did not play the second game in the two games, so Owen got screwed by Zion, as I expected, because that's Zion. And we had a Goody, Eves Missy. Wrong Missy, dude.
Bro, what are we doing? He didn't even play.
Bro didn't even play. He sat out on his little tuffet. Anyway.
He was bound to put up at least 110, 120.
Yeah, other good performers. The top performer was actually Kobe White, which is why I won the game. All right, so the way this works, the person who comes in last place has to give at least 51% true to heart compliments to the winner, which is me. So Goody,
well,
I
guess I'll start it up, man. I really liked the way you picked those picks last week. It was smooth with the lips, tickling the names as you went down the list from point guard, shooting guard,
lips,
small forward, and forward. And you went with that center. Couldn't be happier for you. 304.5 is just a great score. I'd golf clap you. There you go, buddy. Enjoy this one. I'm proud of you. Extra shot of insulin on me, baby.
That actually is like telling someone to try to kill themselves, to be honest with you. But sure. It was still more than 51%. I'll take it.
We love you.
In fourth was Owen.
Well, Fish, what's there to be said but what you already said about your team already? You bragged pretty heavily about what you did this week. You put 110% effort out there. I'm just glad you get this win because you have a lot of losses with the Giants and the Rangers and the other teams that you like. So for you to get this win, to feel good about yourself, I feel good for you. I really want to shout out for this week's triumphant victory for you, Fish.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you. All right. Next is Errol Marks.
Well, coaching isn't your forte, and maybe twirling something, a stick or somebody or something, might be your thing. But hey, listen, you did a good job. You won. Good for you. You want me to pat you on the back? You want me to call you beautiful names? I can tell you a fairy tale or something. I don't know. I mean, there are fairies here, right, Speedy?
Why would I know that?
Nevertheless, we adore the person that you are, but sometimes you do smell a little bit stinky, right, Speedy?
Well, how would I know what Fish is smelling like?
Well, you were waiting in his room for him, so
Oh, Lord.
I didn't know where I was
Like
sleeping.
Frankenstein. All right, that was Errol. I for you, I guess like that was like 26% a compliment. That's like as high as I'm gonna get. I'll take it. And Speedy, you're the last one to go.
My gift was Speedy. Okay, you just
true.
you couldn't finish. couldn't
Like I
finish
said,
the
I
deal.
accepted it. I accepted it.
You couldn't finish the deal with him. He was waiting for you.
That's right. I couldn't finish the deal with him.
Finish the
That's
deal.
what it was. That's why. That's what it was. You're absolutely
Couldn't
right.
seal the deal with old
You couldn't
Speedster.
seal it.
I just
I mean,
off my game.
instead, I had to deal with both of these two crazy lunatics. One that doesn't get up for nothing. The other one
Yeah.
that snores himself to sleep.
Yeah,
I mean,
APAP and BPAP over there next to CPAP in that room.
That was funny. That was funny.
All right, guys, that has been Save Your Tears. Thanks for playing. We will have another game with new teams this weekend.
How wonderful.
Do you guys want to do March Madness this weekend? We'll do all college guys.
Yeah, we could do that.
You would
All
love
right.
to do college
That
guys,
would
wouldn't
be-
you?
That
Me? You talking about me or him? I don't know me.
Goody, anything will be better than you taking a center that didn't play.
Yeah, Missy.
You guys are.
That guy's silly. What a
you
silly
took
guy.
a guy named Eve Missy, and you are like surprised.
Distraught. I'm distraught. I thought Eves was gonna be a dude last week, you know.
Nope.
Yves Saint Laurent is the only other Eves I know, and they smell good. So I
He would-
figured
Guess what?
He was MIA, Goody. He was Missy in action.
He might be a
Yeah.
true.
Oh, nice one, Speedy.
He might be.
That brain's working out in freaking overtime tonight.
Anyways, why don't we go to a big? Let's go to a big sports minute. When we come back, we got a couple other games. We got Sound It Out, Tic-Tac-No, Dial It Up, and What's That Smell? But first, our sports minute.
Oh man.
This is the Jabba and the Mouth Sports Minute.
All right, welcome back once again to another Jabba and the Mouth Sports Minute. I am the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of Save Your Tears, Aaron Fishman. And we have some stories for you before catching you up on all of the scores in action tonight. South Alabama coach Richie Riley was furious over the unacceptable treatment of his team. The team was extended an NIT invite after UC Riverside declined their own, as they were committed to the CBI, which is not an NCAA affiliated tourney. UC Riverside got out of that obligation and were put into the NIT. And South Alabama, who told the team that they were already in the IT, had to tell them, just kidding, you're not. South Alabama was actually the regular season Sun Belt Conference winner, but were upset in the semifinals of their conference tournament. The Jaguars of South Alabama are going to have to find solace in the fact that literally only a handful of people care about, let alone watch, the NIT. Next story, West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey freaked out in a press conference after the Mountaineers did not make the NCAA tournament this season. Standing at a podium with a sign reading National Corrupt Athletic Association, Morrissey said, West Virginia deserved to be in that NCAA tournament. This was a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest levels. WVU first-year coach Darian DeVries said the team was extremely shocked and saddened and disappointed. It appears Governor Morrissey wasn't wrong about smelling some vomit. UNC athletic director Bubba Cunningham, who is the chairman of the NCAA selection committee, justified selecting his UNC Tar Heels over West Virginia by saying, the last 4 teams that were out, it was a tough call. The next team out was West Virginia, and they had an outstanding year. Unfortunately, knowing Tucker DeVries was hurt, the player availability, that's something we talk about quite a bit about. Well, the good old you're better, but one of your guys is hurt to justify my crap team being in the tourney because I'm in charge technique executed to a T by Bubba from Tobacco Road. And our last story, the NCAA today, much to the chagrin of the Sabins and the old ball coaches of the world, are now permitting high school students to negotiate their own NIL deals before they enroll in college. The settlement came after the NCAA was sued by a group of state attorney generals who said that the restriction on the NIL violations violated federal antitrust law. Schools have already embraced the impending changes. Murphy added, that many of them have already started signing contracts with their athletes in the anticipation of the settlement's approval. Well, hate it or love it, the kids now own the candy store. Let's just hope for the best. We got some scores tonight. Still in action. The 76ers are up 4 points on the Rockets with 1 minute and 13 seconds left, 125-121. Quentin Grimes, 37 points, 12 rebounds. Timberwolves are up 105-101 on the Pacers with 4.5 left to go in their game in Minnesota. Anthony Edwards has 25 points. The Pistons are shellacking the Pelicans in New Orleans, 123-81 with 2 minutes, 45 seconds to go. And we are just starting the second half in Utah, 54-53 Chicago over the Jazz. In the first quarter, Nuggets 15, Warriors 8. First quarter, all these scores in the next ones are going to be Raptors 17, Suns 13, Grizzlies 16, Kings 17, and the Wizards 14, Trailblazers 11. Still to come tonight, Lakers and the Spurs. Only final from earlier tonight, the New York Knickerbockers knock off the Miami Heat 116-95 behind a triple-double by Josh Hart. The NHL, we got a couple of games that are in action right now. It is 6-1 Maple Leafs, actually just gone final. With an empty net goal, looks like, or actually, no, not empty net goal. The puck was in the netting to end the game. The Maple Leafs defeated the Flames 6-1. The Wild are tied with the Kings 1-1 with 6 minutes left in the third period. And finals earlier tonight, Sabres knocked off the Bruins in overtime 3-2. Lightning beat the Flyers 2-0. And the Devils beat the Blue Jackets in Columbus 2-1. Guys, we are streaming live on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube on our Jabba in the Mouth handle and on Instagram under the Worldwide Sports Radio Network handle. You can now also find us in video on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to like and subscribe all our shorts and videos that you see throughout the week on all of the socials. Now, guys, back to Errol, Jabba, and Speedy for our next segment on Jabba and the Mouth.
Any questions?
This is the Jabba and the Mouth Show.
Willie Whoppers, Speedy! Willie Whoppers! Spanking. Thickness. Have you ever seen a fly? How thick do you like to be? Are you a meat bender? I am a disturbing person. What about your mom? All perfect assessments of who I am, ladies and gentlemen. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to Jabba and the Mouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-hosts, Jabba Chamberlain and the speedster himself, the old speeder, right? Speeder, you like to beat it? What? Do you like to beat it? No. You don't like to beat it? No. You don't like Michael Jackson?
He's the one beating it, not me.
Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including Jabba in the Mouth every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Thank you to Ray and thank you to Chris for joining us. They were fantastic. It was a last moment, attack. I mean, Speedy actually had to attack him to get him on the show. We were supposed to have Ricky Williams on the show, but he had to take care of some family stuff. But we will have him on the show. I promise you guys, stay tuned for that. But we've got another segment to get into, and we call this Sound It Out.
Big roll here. Jay Quellen. Where's Jay Quellen at? No Jay Quellen here?
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Let's sound it out.
What you call me?
Sound it out.
Oh, God. Here we go.
All right. Once again, another great segment. A little quick one for you. Sound it out.
And sound
Phonics Schmonics. Errol's got it. Well, we'll see if he does. Errol, it is the Japan series after all. So all of these names are Japanese baseball player names.
Like powder?
That are in the major leagues or are starting to be in the major leagues for their first season this year.
You just made my nipples hard.
I hope they are. I hope they are. Here's your first name, Errol.
Oh, God, please.
Sound it out.
Shiyoshi Nishiaka.
Not bad.
No.
Wasn't as bad as I thought.
First name wasn't terrible. Not very close on the last name. Tsuyoshi Nishioka.
Well, it wasn't
Not
that
so bad. Not so bad. All right.
You got to
0 for
understand.
1.
OKA, it's not Aka, it's Oka.
Okay.
Ah,
Let's see if that tip helps him in round 2, Goody. Let's see.
Probably
Next
not. There's
one.
no saving his tears.
Here we go. Next round 2, Errol. Sound it out.
Shinaku Akishikawa.
Hold on, I want to give. That was a. Let me give this one a 10.
That was not very close.
Shinosuke Ogasawara. Woo! Let's go.
That is correct.
That guy's probably hit 758 home runs.
He no, he's a pitcher, I think. Let's see. I know he's playing this. This is gonna be his first year in the majors.
Yeah.
He is on the Nationals, and he is a pitcher.
Interesting. Well,
Not bad for one spring training. 758 home runs.
That would be a pretty good spring training. All right, Errol. 0 for 2, but again, if you're in baseball, you get a 1 for 3. That's an all-star. Errol, one more coming up for you right here to finish up the game. Errol. Sound it out.
Shintaro. Hold on. Fujinami.
Hey.
All right. I should have started with that one. That was more of a
Yes.
layup.
Yeah, you
Errol
should have.
goes 1 for 3.
I got one right.
And sounded
Eat
out.
it.
You got to ease them in. You know what I'm saying? You got to
Proud.
warm it up.
Proud of being
Really?
wrong
Dirty
2/3
thump
of
or
the
something?
time.
Warm it up. Warm it up.
You
It's
gotta
when
warm
those
it
hot
up.
farts come out, you know? Those
Well,
hot
this has been
farts.
another edition of
What?
Sound It Out.
How does Jabba say hockey? Hockey? Hockey.
Hockey?
Hockey. Hockey.
Hockey?
Like hooky.
Oh,
Exactly. Huckey. I like it. Hockey. It's all the
Hooky.
same. Puck. We call it puck down here in Florida.
Hockey, pucky, speedy, smucky. All right. That's good Chinese, right, Speedy?
I don't know what
Yeah.
language that is.
Errol, I don't think anyone's gonna say you have any. First off, it's not Chinese. It'd be like Mandarin. It'd be Cantonese.
Oh,
First
I'm
off.
sorry.
And
I'm
don't they
sorry, Mr. Teacher. Oh,
they say Mandarin's the
Mandarins.
hardest
They say it's the
language to
hardest
learn.
one to learn. Yeah,
Right.
it's the hardest to learn.
Don't worry.
Uh,
In Errol's language, the first one they learn is Tamario.
As long as she's using dude wipes and taking care of my 2-hole, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we call this Tic-Tac. And eat my ass, Speedy. No.
Eat my ass.
We get the prizes because they're stolen.
No. Now here's your host, the Tick himself, Owen the Tick Rickner.
We're done. He's
Golf
pissed from last week.
Golf clap. It's Owen. He's back.
We're so done.
Hey,
He's on a revenge tour.
I got the NCAA. A couple questions for the NCAA tournament to start it off. So,
Oh Lord.
starting it off hot. What or who has the highest points per game as a freshman in college basketball history?
As a freshman?
As a freshman,
Like in the tournament or like just
No,
as
just-
a freshman?
just as a freshman,
Was it Kevin Durant?
it was not.
He was pretty freaking good that year.
Job is over there looking it up. I can see the screen change on his glasses.
I'm actually not. I was switching screens from YouTube TV to our stream.
All right, Carl. That's who I was going to go with. Pistol Pete Maravich.
That is right.
Oh,
He scored
look at that.
44
He got his
points per
first one
game.
right. Yeah. Golf clap for him tonight.
all right, Goody. Where are we going?
Dead Central, bro.
Of course.
Why wouldn't
New-
we? We're
New
trying
York's in the finals for the TGL.
we're trying to win this Joker.
All right.
Carl, shout out to Carl for that. I was on the tip. I wanted Pistol Pete, LSU boy.
Don't
but
ever say it's on the tip of your tongue. Never use those lines, my friends.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Speedy, has anything been on your tip of your tongue?
Oh Lord,
Most
here we
things
go.
have been that enter your mouth.
True.
He's not wrong.
It's
Yeah.
technically correct.
Technically, he's right.
Yeah.
Very high
keep opening
technical
it. Let's
score from
Speedy.
figure skating judges.
Right.
All right, guys. Who was the lowest seed to ever win March Madness?
Villanova 8.
That is correct.
Oh, let's go. Right off the tongue.
Sheesh.
It's rolling now, baby. Give it to him,
Oh, you're
Speedy.
so,
Show him.
you're
right,
so
Speedy.
done. You're so done.
You better come out with your
It's gonna be a 3-0 right off the
Nebraska
rip.
state history question or something.
Get me a loaf. Get me a loaf.
Yep, and in honor of them collapsing and not making the tournament, we'll have to go to the bottom right and cover the state sign.
Mom, the meatloaf.
Oh,
Damn. Hey, we made a tournament, just not the NIT or the
yeah,
actual tournament.
Huskers
They-
fans are
they-
real good fans.
We
crown
made the
jewel.
made up tournament. That's which one we got. We got the made up tournament. Hey, we did get 2 teams though in the regular one, Omaha and Creighton. So
Well, there you go.
The old Creighton.
Here's a fun one.
They blew it that year. That was the year they should have gone to the final. This is how you shave.
Here's a fun one, guys. Peyton Manning was giving the starting job as a freshman at University of Tennessee because what former MLB player got
Todd
hurt?
Helton.
Todd Helton. Yeah.
That's right.
That one pretty easily.
Wow, that's a 3-man sweep.
That is.
Wow, they swept you, man. They swept you good.
Yeesh.
That's like you got to run the naked mile. It was so bad,
dude.
Hey, I swept you 2 weeks ago.
I
There you
know.
go, you got-
Speedy did that for us.
You were like,
got-
what was the 12th pitch in the 1919 MLB World Series?
Nope,
The Chicago Black Sox. And I'm like, dog, what? It was in the 4th inning. You're like,
Look,
what?
It was clearly a spitball.
Goody's the only pretty one in the middle.
It's like, dude, some of the stuff you were asking, I'm like, bro, do you get like if you're not an
Goody, they sandwiched
encyclopedia or
you, man. They sandwiched
Chat GPT, oh, I love it. As long as she's wearing dude ripes and taking care of my 2-hole, we're good.
you.
Well, you got to give
Great
Owen a
guy.
little credit. He had to drive from Minnesota for his son's birthday and
slide it right in.
deal with the Legoland.
Legoland, I feel you.
As long as she's using dude wipes and taking care of my 2-hole, I'm good.
I'm good.
That's just like a classic one right now.
It just
I'm
is.
good.
Getting hosed. It's 6 on 1.
I like you got to cut this out. The hockey.
Yeah.
You
And
definitely
you got the
do.
crowd, and the crowd is involved, so I'm hosed.
Hockey.
I gotta go
yeah.
back to the back to the pre MLB stats that I got.
He's got the toothpick in his mouth. Hockey.
Who hit the first double ever?
Hookie.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing.
Abner
It was
Doubleday.
It was written on papyrus. Like what?
Pirates of hockey.
Hieroglyphic.
I don't even know how to answer a question. Sometimes you ask, dude. I don't even know any. I'm just like, I don't know. Left. My answer is left A X.
Speedy.
Grand
Does it
Theft
bend?
Auto.
Yeah.
Speedy, does it bend right or does it bend to the left?
I don't know. Goody says that all the answers are left, so clearly it's left. and Goody was the question 1 champion, so you have to respect his judgment.
So it's left, right? So it
Ask
bends
Goody.
left.
Ask Goody. He was
Actually,
the one.
I had a.
So you know
I
what
had,
goodies look like?
No, you know what this looks like.
I didn't ask. You're the one who's giving us answers. So
I tried.
I just asked you, does it bend left or bend?
I don't know. Ask Goody. He's the bending expert, apparently.
You just made my nipple hard.
All right. We call this Dial It Up.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled hot mix to bring you important news. So
We got a big broadcast to do here. We're about to dial it up.
Okay. Guys, welcome to Dial It Up. This is a more of a new segment where we're going to go through a few quick stories that Errol doesn't know anything about before we start. First story is on Errol's favorite player in basketball history, Stephen Curry, breaking the 4,000 3-point shot barrier last week. on Thursday against Sacramento Kings. He turned 37 the next day. Since Jimmy Butler was traded to the Warriors, Errol, they're 14-1. Errol, about all this with Steph Curry, with the rejuvenation tour here. Dial it up.
He's one of the most beloved players in the NBA. I don't understand it. He brings the free ball to the league. He's better than Ray Allen. He's better than Reggie Miller. That's fine. That's grand. He's got 4,000 three-pointers. I don't think anybody's ever going to break that. Who the hell cares? That doesn't make him the greatest point guard of all time. It doesn't make him the best shooting guard of all time. All it tells me is that the guy knows how to shoot. He can shoot anywhere on the court. If you want him to sit out, you want him to shoot 25, 30, 40, 50-foot jumpers, he probably can hit them. And he hits them all the time. What is the big deal from this? Now, obviously, the personality that who he is on and off the court, people love him. I've heard so many good stories about him. That I heard a story about some woman that heard somebody talking about him in a restaurant, and she lost her job because she said something about him or said something good about him. And then all of a sudden he hires her and gets her a job where she's making more money. Good for her and good for him. He's a great shooter. He's a sensational player. Does that make him the greatest point guard of all time? No. And by the way, Jimmy Bucket's going there. Everybody knew this was going to happen, okay? And like I said, and I'll say it again, the Golden State Warriors will play the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Book it, seal it, and send it off to the old Speedy's butthole. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Do I get to jump off the top rope here, as we say?
Come in right off the top rope, Owen.
All right. Well, obviously 4K, that's impressive. If Steph does manage to do the unthinkable and win this year's title, he will be a top 10 player of all time. Best point guard ever, that's debatable between him and Magic. But what he's done for the Golden State organization, what he does, he has fun playing the game. He's marketable. He does the NBA All-Star three-point contest. He did it against the WNBA star a couple of years ago. He's good for the league. LeBron doesn't do the things that Steph does.
He ruined the league. What are you talking about?
He didn't ruin the league.
The league is all about three-pointers. He ruined the game. You think this is better? You think the league's better than this? With this crap? Watching people chuck up threes? Get out of here, Owen. You think this is better?
It's what the league is not better. He's the best at it.
This is the league what it is because of him. He ruined the game. Him and Klay Thompson, his other splash brother. Give me a break. Splash this. That's what I say.
Steph Curry for the GOAT.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
he's the
that's
GOAT.
our first
He's the GOAT, all right. Man.
Next one coming up. Oh, yes. The ALCS MVP may miss the entire season with bilateral elbow injuries. He's had now 3 sets of PRP injections in both elbows since last season. He's also dealing with a nagging calf injury. The injuries are considered to be severe in the arms. Errol, you go to the gym a lot. We know Giancarlo does. I don't know how this happens. Dial it up.
It's very easy to dial up. What the hell's going on with this guy? He's built like Hercules. I mean, when you look at him, the guy doesn't have a wrinkle on his body. He's built like a make truck. And then he comes out, he's got these bilateral injuries. He's got ankle injuries, calf injuries. What's wrong with this guy? I mean, you're 6'5", 6'8", whatever, how tall you are. You're 280 pounds of muscle, and you're complaining about bilateral problems. And this guy's going to be out for the season. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. And this hurts the Yankees, by the way, because what he did in the playoffs last year and what he adds to the middle of that lineup to protect Aaron Judge after losing Soto is a significant loss. This is not good. This tells me something about who he is. He's quitting. That's what I think. He's a quitter. That is anybody that's going to complain about bilateral problems and elbow problems is a bitch. And that's what Giancarlo Stanton is. An absolute bitch. How do you like that one?
I mean, you wouldn't say it to his face, but
you're probably right. I wouldn't. You know,
I know. But yeah, I've honestly, I've never when they said like this is what it would like. We've obviously known, you know, he's injury prone, and that's, you know, he's gonna miss a chunk of the year. That's just kind of been his MO, right? But like when it was this, and I'm like, I know this is like a medical jargon or whatever, but like this is really like I've never heard of it in any type of baseball, like a bilateral. Like what? You don't even throw, dog. What are you doing? Like it's not like he's playing every day. He's hitting. Like maybe
He's got to get off his hands. And
maybe
knees,
got them
okay?
like
Whatever he's doing on his elbows,
osteoporosis
it's not working.
whatever it is, that osteoporosis or something. Like I don't know, but yeah.
First of all, by the way, you curl and it does hit your elbow. It does. You use a lot of your forearm. There's no question. But maybe he's doing something else at home. Maybe he's playing with himself too much.
Maybe he's got the,
and he's hurting his elbow.
gout. Maybe he's got the gout.
He's got the gout, all right. Gout in many different areas, including probably in between his legs. If you know what I mean, Speedy. You know what I mean.
They need him back for as much as they can without losing him, because we've seen what his numbers are in the playoffs. So if they got to sacrifice a little bit in the regular season to make sure that he's healthy that's not good if they're already talking about maybe missing the entire season. And it's like, well, he's still going to miss time. And you have all these huge names right now that are going to miss significant time, and some for the year. Like this isn't the thing you want to hear as a fan of baseball as a whole and as a Yankees fan as well.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Very sad to see Giancarlo being hurt once again. This one was a real interesting one. That's Steve Alford. We mentioned him earlier tonight. He went after the NIL system. I've never been one that said that I don't believe student athletes shouldn't be paid, but the way it is now is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I don't like our model at all. I don't like the model that we currently have because it's not name, image, and likeness. That's not what it is. Here's the real good part of the quote. Most of them are getting what they're getting before they ever produce. You should have to produce, then you receive. It's a bad lesson, and we shouldn't be sending kids off to college, academically or in our profession, to teach them bad models for when they're 25 and 26. A little bit different take on NIL and why there's something wrong with it. Errol, dial it up.
Oh, it's pretty simple. These kids were making money when they were in high school for years. Coaches were paying, but they were paying it under the table, and they were paying them in college and getting caught doing that. Now, all of a sudden that it's become legal, you're complaining about it? You've been doing it for years, coach. What are you complaining about it? This has been going on forever. And by the way, they should be getting paid. It doesn't matter if they step on the court and they shoot one basket or hit a baseball, hit a home run or pitch a strike. It doesn't matter. These kids are out there to make money, just like you're going out there and recruiting them and actually trying to do whatever it takes to get them to come to your school. So if you were to ask me, you shouldn't be bitching and moaning, coach, because you're making $9 million or $8 million a year by recruiting these asses. So pay them. That's all I'm going to say about that.
It's also difficult when he's on a smaller school too. Like he used to coach at UCLA, and I think he stepped down because a lot of the things they were doing, but they've taken over and built a really good program.
A lot of things they were doing or what he was doing.
Exactly. And then Mountain West, now you're going to the Mountain West in Nevada. That's going to be a very hard spot to recruit to. It's not like you're in Las Vegas or one of these bigger cities too. You're already going to drag recruits away as it is, saying these comments too. It just doesn't look good for him. Yeah, it's a concept that might have to be regulated.
It's not dragging anybody. He is going to pay them just as much as any other coach out there, Speedy. He's just complaining and bitching, just like our friend, Mr. Saban.
No, I get that. So why are you actually complaining is another question. If the coaches are just going to do that anyway, because a lot of these schools are working the transfer portal as it is because of this, and you're just going to deter a lot of people from going away as it is. The Mountain West is going to be probably the group of 5 conference that's going to get a lot anyway. So why are you trying to make it harder for yourself? Yes, Alford needs to talk to Reno Johnny. Yes, that is Reno Johnny.
I don't think anybody should be complaining about these kids making money. I really don't. I think it has to be regulated in some kind of way, so they're not making ridiculous money like they're bringing in $20 million. Because if it doesn't get controlled now, in about 3 or 4 years, you're going to see these college kids making $20 to $25 million a year. Why would they leave college? Why would they leave college if they're making more money in college than they would be in the professional game, because they're not as good in the professional game? That's the only thing I think college sports needs to figure out, on how much they should be bringing in and how much should be regulated. That's it. but they should be making money.
Carl says, get Reno Johnny on the NIL payroll. I'm sure he would like that. He does coach basketball too, so I'm sure he'd love to.
I don't understand why anybody's complaining about this. These kids should have been making money. And by the way, Johnny Manziel, and I'll say it again, Johnny Manziel and all these other guys, Reggie Bush, that have been thrown to the wolves over these years because they were trying to make money off their own names. They were only making money off their own names. They weren't getting paid for their talent. They're making money on their own names, and people were complaining about that. What a disgrace. Coaches should shut their mouths. Saban, all these guys, Dabo Sweeney, all of these guys, stop bitching and moaning. If you're recruiting them and you're willing to go out there and speak to their parents, they should be making just as much as your fat ass should be making. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. We got 2 more stories left. And at this point, they get a little bit more fun. Errol, we got one of my favorite pictures coming up right here. Oh, yes. It is.
Oh, here we go.
Matthew Berry saying Daniel Jones signing by the Colts shows that they have no direction. The Colts drafted Anthony Richardson knowing he was a project. He had only started like something around 30 games total combined between University of Florida and in the NFL. Daniel Jones should win the job, as according to Berry, and he will be okay, but that only hurts the chance of them getting their future guy. He'd rather see what the Commanders did, which was playing the garbage Sam Howell for the year, seeing if he could do anything, and then end up with the second pick and get Jaden Daniels. I thought this was an interesting take. Errol, I know you support Daniel Jones, but this is some interesting logic. Dial it up.
First of all, Shane Steichen is over there with the Colts. He knows how to develop quarterbacks. Daniel Jones didn't really get enough time with Dable because Dable had his head up his own ass. And I don't know what Dable has done over there for the New York Giants that's really helped the organization move forward. Dable Jones is going into the right place. I think he's got weapons over there. He has the capability to do just as good as any quarterback that goes from one place to another. And nobody thought Russell Wilson was going to have a good year this year, but he did have a pretty fair good year with the Pittsburgh Steelers after having just a crappy year with the Broncos. I do believe Daniel Jones has a lot to give to an organization and a team. I could care less what anybody says about him. And the fact that everybody says, oh, we can't lean on him because he's not a good quarterback. How the hell do you know? Have you played the quarterback position? I don't care if you coached in the NFL. You've probably never been a quarterback. How many coaches in the NFL and NFL history were NFL quarterbacks, actually good NFL quarterbacks, and got a coaching job where actually were any good? So I don't know why anybody's speaking about Daniel Jones. I am a supportive person to him. I think he's going to achieve over there in Coltville, and he's going to get a lot of money. I believe after this year, Daniel Jones will get a $40 million contract once again by the Indianapolis Colts. So eat it, beat it, and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, Mr. Poops.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I think he's going to be playing for the Oshawa Poutines by the time this time.
Well, you're a Giant fan, so of course you would say.
And I don't really think he could play. And they gave him a $13 million deal, and he's probably better than Anthony Richardson, at least at this point in his career. Because let's face it, Anthony Richardson was putting up statistics that you just can't play in the NFL if you're competing 40% of your passes. And if he's going to be a guy, they have to see it. And I thought it was like very good logic to, and we're having some kind of an echo for some reason right now, but some logic, like the logic is get rid of anyone that's talented. Don't get this bridge guy and be mediocre again. Maybe you win a playoff game because that's the best Daniel Jones has ever done. And then got smoked when he got to the divisional round where there's the real playoff teams. That's what happened. And that was the best he's ever been. He hasn't been that good in a couple of years.
What did the Giants give him? What did the Giants give him?
Well,
that's
but
the problem.
Say he's better, though. Say he's better.
The problem with the Giant fans. This is what upsets me about Giant fans. They sit there and they make all the, he's not good. He should play CFL, JFL, UFL. He should play in the XFL. He stinks. What did the Giants give him? What did they give him? They gave him a day. First of all, a Saquon Barkley, who they just let go. They let him go to the Eagles. He had nothing this year. Who is he throwing to? He threw to a neighbor's kid who's young. Yes, he's going to be good. They had no veteran wide receivers. They're all secondary. And by the way, who did they sign this offseason? The great Darius Slayton. Good job, Giant fans. You've got your guy. Wonderful. Give me a break. Daniel Jones actually has weapons. Michael Pittman's there. They've got a running back in Taylor. They've got Taylor over there. They got a good offensive line that could actually protect them. Eat it, Giant fans, when Daniel Jones gets his contract. Stuff it down that throat.
But that
down,
wasn't
right?
answering what he was saying, Errol. He was saying,
I don't care what he says.
He's saying that the Colts aren't going anywhere with this strategy.
Really?
Because all they can ever be is a middling team. And they're never going to be a Super Bowl champion with a guy like Daniel Jones. So what are they really doing? They're in, that late teens draft slot over and over and over again because you're good enough to suck.
Do you remember a guy named Brad Johnson? Remember him?
I know.
Yeah, I remember him.
He was pretty good with the Vikings, though.
Get out of here. He sucked. And he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay.
Chris Carter is pretty good.
And by the way, Daniel Jones is better than Johnson, okay? I don't want to hear that you can't win with competent quarterback.
Daniel Jones hasn't been competent.
Russell Wilson sucked in the Super Bowl.
760
He
days.
sucked in the Super Bowl. They won that Super Bowl against the great Broncos because of their defense. It had nothing to do with Russell Wilson. As a matter of fact, if you look at Russell Wilson's numbers, they weren't good. So don't tell me you can't win with Daniel Jones. If you put the right pieces around him, you can win.
I think the Oshawa Generals are going to do great with Daniel Jones next year. They're going to be
They're going to love
fantastic.
a CFL expansion team.
All right,
I remember you said that.
I think he'll be great in the NFL.
I remember you said that.
So we have one more story. I think we're going to love this picture. Yes, this from the great photo shoot of Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. The reports are that you have to go through his girlfriend to talk to him if you're part of UNC's communication staff.
You got to be kidding me.
She's 24 years old. She has to be CC'd on all emails. This is his first year, obviously, in college after coaching in the NFL for 49 years. She has to be included in all interview requests and has become a gatekeeper of sorts for Coach Belichick. Errol, dial it up.
What gatekeeping do you need for Bill Belichick? How old is this man? He's in his 70s. He's with a 24-year-old fucking woman. What a freaking joke. I mean, what are you trying to sell here? And by the way, why would UNC actually bring these two idiots there? Okay, they're never going to win over there. How long is he going to be there before he croaks? Seriously, she's going to give him a heart attack. By the time
she's with him because of his looks. Don't worry. That's what. That's what.
I'm sure. Or the pipe that's drawing, in between his legs. I have no idea. I'm surprised he can actually, get it up anymore. But nevertheless, I don't understand the story. And by the way, why is he doing that? Seriously, that makes him look even more dumber. This guy was always respected for what he does on a football field. The quietness, doesn't really answer any questions. Now all I see, he's got smiles on his face. Every time he goes to all these award shows with his girl, showing off her breasts and her ass. I mean, and now she's got to be a part of all the conversations. If you have to get to her to get to him, what the hell? I mean, maybe we should have a threesome. Maybe I should hang out with them. I mean, seriously, it is the most ridiculous statement you could possibly have when it comes to trying to have a conversation with one of the greatest coaches of all time, and you have to go through his girlfriend, okay? His 24-year-old girlfriend. It's pathetic. And by the way, Coach Belichick, whatever you're doing in your spare time, I don't know what it is. Get a dick pump or something, because that's what you're going to need by the time you're going to get done with that woman. All right? That's all I'm going to say about that. Coach Belichick, I'm not going to say it. I'll stay at that. UNC is going to fall flat on their ass. And it's all going to be because of that wretched 24-year-old little pump snapper. Okay?
Wow. That was quite a run.
Thank you. I'll take that.
I don't know if
I'll drink that with my grape crush, as I'm selling it right now. Grape crush.
I don't know.
Orange is better.
I have that too. I have them both.
I think this is a borderline baller move. Like, look, tell you, hey, she's his personal secretary. Like, you deal with that. I don't have time to deal with that. I'm trying to coach UNC. I think hey, he's got that thing on lock, bro. He's pretty much set. And he's just taking her around to, like you said, all these award shows, showing her off. Like, he's got game on the field. Oh, look at him. He's doing the airplane with her at the beach. I mean,
no, he doesn't have game. He's got millions. That's all
Well,
she's thinking.
Maybe,
she's
but he's also
dollars.
like, hey, listen, babe, you deal with the light work. Handle these I don't. If you don't want me to do it,
Does
I
it
don't
look
wanna
like
do it.
she's dealing with the light work looking like that? Seriously, who the hell does that?
What do you think he's breaking her off with a month? Because I know certain things that I've had to pay for a month. He's got to be breaking her off.
100 grand.
Son.
100 grand.
Gee.
100 grand a month?
100 grand a month.
Oh,
I don't know
That's a
about
lot.
that.
That's 100 grand a month. Why
They're
not?
in North Carolina. Things are cheaper over there.
Well, somebody's stuffing something in her briefcase.
Carl killing me, bro. Earl said threesome. Bill hits the Tootsie Roll on Earl.
Screw you, Carl. You stupid bastard.
Carl's the goat, bro. Carl single-handedly beat Owen.
Carl, why don't you hide the rooster with good old Bill? All right.
Carl's like Chat GPT and this shit real quick.
Man. There is something wrong with this man. I'm telling you. It is pretty sick. I don't get it. I don't get anything with Bill Belichick anymore. I used to respect the guy because he didn't say much and he didn't do much. Now all of a sudden, when I see him, on television, I see a smirk on his face, like he's a clown. He's on Pat McAfee's show every single week. He's got something funny to say when he never had anything funny to say when he was coaching. And then he's got a 24-year-old woman asking, and you have to go through her to get questions to him. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
What I will say is, okay, this is obviously ridiculous through and through. This is ridiculous. He's trying to have, it's going to wind up in one of his players, TY being here. I'm just going to say it right now. But I guess I want to leave it off with a question here. But I want to know what him and his girlfriend actually talk about. Is it Taylor Swift? Is it UNC? I don't even.
Taylor Swift's a decade older than this girl.
See, I don't even know what the actual conversation would be like. What is the icebreaker between the two of these two? I don't.
Should I go? Should I go nickel or dime?
What the fuck does that mean?
I think they would go through the questions that I have with Speedy. Do you like them black or do you like them white? What do you think, Speedy?
I don't know how she would respond to that.
I want to know where they met.
That is a good question. Tinder, right? Somebody told me that.
Well, listen, he can use his. He can.
No,
he can use his.
Bill Belichick only uses one social media.
Maybe he uses his girlfriend as a recruiting tool to get one of these guys to come to their school. Think about it. You can sleep with my girlfriend.
She just enters her college dorm. You just got a knock in the college dorm.
She's really a slut.
Goody, you know as well as I do what team you use to get recruits in.
Oh,
so my wife just texted me that they met on a flight from Boston to Florida in February of 2021, where Belichick signed her deductive logic textbook with a humorous message.
Yeah, they showed that.
See? Right. He's a sweetheart. Everybody gives him crap, but he's such a sweetheart.
Soul. That's what it is. That's all it is.
I've heard Gronk in interviews telling
granddaughter's age.
I heard Gronk in an interview saying how he was actually really funny as a coach. Not sure if that's true or not, but that's what he said.
Look, he's one of the best of all time, and he's old.
He's got a good personality, and he can pull.
She probably has a lot of big gutters, if you know what I mean.
Let's face it. He's in his 70s. He's got all the money he needs. If you had a choice, 24 or 55, what are you making that choice? I mean,
some of them 55s though can. Ooh, no.
I'm not saying 5 + 5 is 10, Jabba. You make a good point with some of those 55s.
And they don't want to stay around them 24s. Want to hang out, like if you just want to go drink some bourbon with your boys.
24-year-old low drop.
Yeah, a 24-year-old might just want to hang on, and you just want to be like, kick rocks. Listen, we're out.
Yeah, you kick rocks.
Come catch this meat real quick. Come catch this meat.
Ooh,
we'll have fun.
I like that.
Here's a couple G's. Here's a couple C notes. Catch this meat, and I'm out.
Hockey.
while watching hockey.
Watching some hockey.
Hockey.
A little 24-year-old little whore bag. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Well, we don't know. Don't be name calling. We don't know.
Well, that's
her.
what she is. I mean, seriously, what 24-year-old girl is hanging out with a 73-year-old man? Okay,
A smart one.
There's definitely
A
he's
funny one.
definitely-
Smart one, Owen said.
He's funny. He's smart. He's
Speedy,
he just
let me
happens
ask
to
you a
be
question.
rich. Got a
Speedy,
great
do you-
body.
It's not as bad as Anna
Great
Nicole
body.
Smith. Remember
What
that
the
back
hell?
in the day?
He looks
Knows
like
his
a little
way.
hermit. He looks
Knows
like
how
a
to-
Uncle Lupo.
Knows how to get a massage. Knows what he wants in a massage. Where
Well,
No, used to work for a guy who always knows where to get a massage.
exactly.
congratulations to him. Wow. I will say this. She is definitely one of the smartest people in the world. That's for sure. Because she doesn't have to give it up and she still gets a lot of it. So that's all. And by the way, I wonder how his sons feel about this. I mean, think about it. If he marries that woman, she gets everything.
That's not true. There's ways
Oh,
around
yeah.
that.
Pre
There'll
and post
be,
nup, son. Pre
There'll
and
be
post nup.
plenty of nups going on over there.
Facts.
Nipples? Is that what
Nips
you're
and
saying?
nups. That's the memoir's title right there. Bill Belichick
Speedy,
story.
what do we call the head of a penis? What do we call that?
Why don't you answer Carl's
My
question?
helmet?
That's great.
It's your helmet. Speedy, do you have a helmet?
Oh Lord.
Or as Gary Owens said in one of his, he was like, my Darth Vader.
Yes.
Shout out Gary Owen.
You just made my nipples hard.
He just had a special come out like a week or two ago.
I love him.
Nipson.
I want you to
That's
slide it
funny.
right there. Willy Whopper, Speedy! Willy Whopper!
But your mom is that below the well. Speedy, you like that one the best, right? Let's get some new ones for you, Speedy. Hold
Yeah.
on. We got some new ones for you. Ready?
There is no human that is 3,000 pounds.
That was a favorite.
Hold on.
Tender.
No human is a beluga whale. I wouldn't sleep with a family member either. They would be dead. They would be dead.
I want to sleep with the.
I'm sleeping with a sea creature.
Oh, Lord.
I'm not sleeping with a sea creature. All right.
Speedy's
All right,
yogurt
ladies and
slinger.
gentlemen, we got one more segment, and it's called What's That Smell?
Oh, what's that smell?
Wow. You don't see that every day.
One by Yogurt Slinger.
Speedy's yogurt slinger. Oh my gosh.
Speedy, do you like yogurt slinging?
I don't know what that is.
Have you ever slung any yogurt?
No.
So what do you do with your yogurt?
Eat it with a spoon like a normal person.
Oh my gosh.
I know that concept's foreign to you, but
It's not foreign to that 24-year-old girl that's dating Bill Belichick.
okay. If you ever meet her, you can go ask her about freaking yogurt slingers.
Name that movie that's from.
I have no idea. I never even heard it called the yogurt slinger. But that
Varsity
is
Blues.
Varsity Blues, when he says a
Yes.
purple-headed yogurt slinger.
Tweeter, right? Was
I
Tweeter?
see Varsity Blues.
James
His Lots.
Vanderbeek. And then he ends it with Pedro.
Page. That's right. The sex class.
It's been a long
I remember
time
that.
since I've seen
I
that.
remember that. I remember.
That's why I always laugh when you do the penis, vagina, because that's
you
that's
like
from
that channel, right?
the teacher and she's the strippers
What?
too.
What'd you say? Speedy?
Great movie. Great scene in that movie.
Very underrated movie. Very underrated.
Speedy, what did you just say? You said something.
Yes,
Although the oop-de-oop is a garbage play, I have to say that. 4 receivers left, and just throw it to the guy manned up on a curl route. That's the entire play. And then Tweeter just runs for a touchdown. It's just a curl to Tweeter one-on-one. That's the oop-de-oop. What a freaking play, Varsity Blues.
Hey, it's a play. Oop-de-oop.
It's like the annexation of Puerto Rico.
There we go.
Now that's a play. Now that one's a play.
10.
I love that.
Carl. Yeah, she's a 10.
A 10. A 10. Speedy say 10.
Miss Davis, you go to prom with me.
10. teeing, Speedy. Are you ready for what's that smell? All right, let's go, Scoops. Let's go, Owen. Goody, you want to do it? You're up for it? Is that
I got something. Hopefully, if one of you take it, then it's
all right?
then
We'll
I'm
go
out.
with Good. We'll go with Fish. We'll go with Speedy. We'll go with Joba. We'll go with me.
All right. Us off.
All right, here we go.
Over the weekend, long time Cowboy DeMarcus Lawrence
great.
left for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, not before saying that he appreciates being in Dallas. He appreciates everything that people have done for him in Dallas. However, they will never win a Super Bowl over there, to which his former teammate now, Micah Parsons, responded saying, "This is what rejection and envy look like. This is some clown, you know what?" Going back and forth before Lawrence ended it with saying, "Maybe if you spent less time tweeting and more time winning, I wouldn't have left." Hey man, this guy spent a better part of like 11 years as a Cowboy. And hey, all he wanted to do was just show off his work, get far in the playoffs with the team. It never happened. And as a Cowboy hater, I can't really complain because it smells like Jerry Jones's underpants after another uneventful free agency, which is crap. So
Screw what's that smell? That deserves a golf clap. Any shots at the Cowboys are worth that.
Yeah, smells like some crap out of Jerry Jones's underpants.
All right. Well, mine's going with the main man, Dan Hurley. He comes to Creighton. He flashes his rings. He tells the crowd to shut up. Then Creighton dunks on him with 1 second left, and he throws a huge fit, throwing a temper tantrum. His assistant coach that wants to look like him throws a bigger temper tantrum. And it's always like this with Dan Hurley. He has to go on 60 Minutes, whine about, "Oh, my players are thinking about leaving me. Please feel bad." All the analytics he does, all those shenanigans, it's enough. It smells like raw sewage. Have you ever seen those videos where they like take the stick and poke the shit so it comes out? That's what it smells like. Dan Hurley's shit.
Wow.
Poor Danny, man. Poor him. I feel bad for him.
I'm still laughing. You said that his assistant that wants to look like him.
He literally does. They look identical.
He has the whole get up, the bald, the look, the glasses. Oh man.
My what's that smell happened according to Twitter 7 hours ago when John Cena decided to go heel. This whole entire time he's been.
That was 24 hours?
7 hours ago.
Maybe a little further, but right now he came out with this weak ass looking get up. He has on this hat that says "You don't know me." The shirt, the colors are terrible. And in his speech, he says, "You don't get a new look. You don't get new music. You dress like me. I don't dress like you. You don't deserve anything." Wow. I mean, clearly he's had some pent up demons the last few years. To me, it smells like money grab. Maybe the Hollywood career wasn't taking off as he planned, and now he's looking to turn it around. So we'll see what happens. Smells like shit. Smells like shit.
Yeah, that's better than I'd rather
Never
hear
been a
it smells
heel
like-
before either.
Yeah.
Never been a heel before either.
Never
So
been a heel.
he turned heel a couple of weekends ago, but he hasn't been on TV since. So this is his
There you
first
go.
time doing that, and that's why it came out. And thanks for ruining for me because I was going to watch it tomorrow. Thanks. I appreciate it. Good.
Well, you know what? Have another shot on me.
All right, guys, I got one for you. This one is going to smell actually kind of pleasant to some people. Some people out in Strong Island, I think you guys just smell like this. But Sparks forward Cameron Brink went on her podcast and said that she's really unsettled by all of the comments about the potential male players that were going to play with her WNBA team. Some of the the quote here is a little interesting. My confession is I'm really icked out by the potential new practice players. Usually we use USC college guys that do for the women's team at USC. All the comments are like, let Tam and Brink back me down, or something about Rakia or something about Kelsey. Who are we trusting to come into this gym? I don't know who they're trusting, but whatever they're trusting, it's going to smell like a whole bunch of cheap cologne and every type of Axe body spray at the exact same time on a sweaty, not that good looking dude. That's what it is.
All right, so I'm going to take mine to a personal note, a guy that Errol and I interviewed a couple of years ago when he was with FDU, and that was Tobin Anderson, who got hired by Iona at the time to replace Rick Pitino. Apparently, Iona decided to strangely fire him after a year. They almost made the tournament. They lost in the conference championship of the MAC to a 6 seed in Mount St. Mary's, who's now a 16 seed in the tournament. They decided to fire him for whatever reason. I don't know. But you know what that smells like? That's cool. Iona is in New Rochelle, New York. Apparently, they had the first ever serial movie. So what does it smell like? It smells like all the corpses of all those actors and all those victims that is now turning into the New Rochelle zombie apocalypse.
Wow. That's the most elaborate, like, what's that smell you've given us? Like, ever, I think.
New Rochelle High School, Ray Rice, proud alma mater of. Fun fact right there. All right, we got Errol.
No, it's me.
Oh, Joba. You're up, Joba, and then Errol. They're almost done.
And you know what? I'm going to switch mine up, Fish. You know what? You brought in Cameron Brink, and I was thinking about this too. How about Angel Reese coming out and saying, if we do not get paid like the men do, we are going to sit out. Can you just go do your damn Happy Meal or whatever the hell it is at Mickey D's and take your money? Because if you think you're sitting out because you're going to get paid like the dudes in the NBA, you have been doing, I don't know what the hell you've been doing, but it smells like you've been doing all kind of illegal drugs. You're going to test positive, and you need to get your shit together because that ain't never going to happen, and you stink. So you figure it out because it smells like a lot of BS, a lot of poopy. There's a lot of poopy. A lot of poopy in there. She ain't playing no hockey. She ain't playing no hockey.
Oh, he said hockey now. I went from hockey to hockey.
She's playing rebound with herself and then trying to say that she is going to sit. We're going to sit out. Who the hell are you to talk? Sit down. Go sit down. Go do something.
Finger twisting.
You smell like ass. Like you
smell like ass.
As in the words of my man Charles Barkley, you're terrible.
You're terrible. Get my finger out of your ass. That's more like Charles. All right, my final what's that smell goes to the wonderful 76ers. Philadelphia 76ers forward Paul George has been ruled out for the rest of the season, ladies and gentlemen, as his abductor is now, flaring up. A guy that just got 4 years, $212 million max money this past offseason is now sitting out making almost $50 million a year. What does that smell, ladies and gentlemen? It smells like all those Philadelphia fans after they win something, championships with their football teams, the horse shit that they stick in their mouths after they win. So that's what it smells like. Horse shit. And by the way, Philadelphia and that 76er team needs to rebuild. I don't know what's going on with that organization. Trade Joel Embiid, get rid of Paul George, and rebuild that organization. Get rid of the executives there. They're not doing anything right over there. And by the way, as we all thought that Nurse was a good coach, he's not. The guy could not win over there with the Raptors until they added a top-end player in Kawhi Leonard. And now all of a sudden they can't get over the hump. What is he saying over here? What's Carl saying?
Carl's doing a nice play on words. Load of shit management. That's a great play on words, Carl.
Load of shit management. Yeah, there you go. It's perfect. Philadelphia. There you go. They are horrible. Horrible organization. I don't know what they're doing. And $212 million to a guy that's averaging 16 points a game, has not averaged 25 points a game in 3 years. And he's making max money. Not super, but max money. The guy's making $50 million a year to do nothing. So I wish I was Ben Simmons because that guy was making like $40 million a year and he was really doing nothing, just wearing his Gucci sweatshirts and all that other stuff on the sidelines and buying his mom and his father brand new cars every single year. So that's what Ben Simmons was doing. Who's better than Ben? I mean, that guy doesn't have to play another day. His family's family never has to play or do anything another day in the rest of their lives. So just think about that.
And that guy was afraid to take a layup. And he still got all that money.
6'10" too. A 6'10" guy who can't hit a layup.
Afraid to take a layup.
They tried everything. They got like Kyle Korver to come shoot with him. They did everything they could.
But like I'll never forget, like his last big moment was like him and Embiid, and he's driving to the hoop, and it's for a game-winning layup, and he's too chicken shit to just take a simple layup, and he tries to kick it out to the 3-point line or something, and he turns it over, and that was it. It was a game.
By the way,
buddy,
buddy, guess where he went to school?
Basketball is really not our thing. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Guess where he went?
Like,
to school.
Hey, you had Shaq.
Yeah, but Shaq's like Shat and Pistol Pete are like a one-off, But then it's just like, we're more baseball.
I was just being a smart ass. I was just trying to throw your school under the bus.
Go Tiger.
The list goes on.
Yeah, the list goes on. Gymnastics, nobody gives a crap about. Track and field, they really don't give a crap
SEC
about.
gymnastics are pretty intense. You should.
I'm sure.
Olympics in our SEC, yeah.
I'm sure.
Nebraska, we got the best bowling team in the country.
Bowling.
We went.
I know your girls volleyball crushes out there though.
They probably pass out dope NIL deals. Oh, get your picture on my ball,
dude. You would be surprised. You would be surprised.
I'm saying like they probably get pretty dope.
Yeah, but Fish, your volleyball kills it here.
I always loved volleyball. It just was like you had to like do that or football, and it was like not much of a choice.
Slap that ass. I want you to slide it right in.
Oh my gosh.
We've had some fun ones tonight. This is how the night started. Remember when you couldn't pronounce what was it? Tomorrow?
Tamario.
Oh, Carl can save it.
Tamario. What's wrong with Tamario?
And then Java got into it a little bit later. Throwing his toothpicks.
Yeah, he's throwing his picks. He's hockey. He's talking about hockey. Yeah. He's
Carl can take a hockey because he third best D1 in Nebraska. Go fly a kite, Carl.
No, you did. When you first said hockey, it was hilarious. You went hockey.
Well, there's no evidence of that because you didn't get a clip from it.
Yes, we will. We will. It's recorded.
Damn it! I shouldn't have said anything.
Well, just like Tamario. I mean, come on, man.
That's great.
We came in from the beginning, and I've been all night, all day. I've been dealing with. I don't know. I've been getting hot flashes for some
going
reason.
through menopause, dog.
I'm not good. Well, if I had a vagina, I probably would. But
you're an old white woman.
Yeah. Well, I came in here early in the show and I was like, I wasn't feeling too well. And then I sat here, and as soon as we came in from the beginning, it was like, I said tomorrow, and I said Tamario, and I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't even finish it, but whatever. That was pretty funny. I can't lie. And that wasn't planned, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. Anyways, that's it for our show. Thank you to our guys, Ray and Chris, for joining us. They weren't supposed to be on tonight, but they came in. They were champions tonight for us. I want to give a shout out to Ricky Williams. I know he couldn't make it tonight. I know Nathan reached out to me. He actually called me when I was in my shower, and he was like, "Where are you?" He's texting me a million times. I'm like, dude, I get out of the shower, and I'm like, Nathan, I will call you right back. I'm taking a shower. And he's like, Ricky's not coming on tonight. I was like, why? He says, his manager said there was something I had to take care of. I said, all right, well, I'll get him on again. So I want to give a shout out to Ricky, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to interview him. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to hear that interview. So, but anyways, thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the fans. Go on our social medias. TikTok right now has over 17,000 people following us. Our Apple, Spotify, go to Instagram, follow us on Instagram, guys, and like all the stuff that we're doing. YouTube is so very important, guys. So definitely check that out as well, and keep following and subscribing to us. as we move forward. I really think that what we're doing is very unique and very different. And I want people to really not, if they haven't discovered the product that we have, definitely go and check it out on the social media markets and check out what we're doing, because it's very unique and very different. Nobody does it in the industry. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in for the work that we put into the product week in and week out. So thank you to the fans. We'll be back on Wednesday. Just so everybody knows, moving on next week, we will be moving the show Mondays and Thursdays moving forward. So it won't be Mondays and Wednesdays. It will be Mondays and Thursdays moving forward. So it will be posted on all the media markets, so you guys know. All right. Good night. Farewell. Take care. Stay care. What the?
Stay care now.
Stay care.
Stay care.
Stay care. Stay care. Tomorrow and whatever. Blues Clues Hockey. Good night.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh, that's great.